The following is a presentation of the BellyUpSports Media Network.
The ball sends it over to Edward. Robles, goal! InsertName FC! Let's go, InsertName FC! What is up, everybody? My name is Hector Flores, host of the InsertName FC podcast, a member of the BellyUpSports Media Network. You can also catch us on YouTube and, of course, GolzTV, the Netflix of soccer content. Joining with me back again, of course, is the other co-host and my best friend, Edward Robles.
Hey, what's up, guys?
So yeah, man. I gotta say, man. A little bit of announcement for next week's episode. So, funny enough, I actually officially canceled my subscription to Netflix. Though I already paid for this month. But so I finally canceled my subscription. I'm just kind of at this point fed up with Netflix. I mean, they're not wrong to do what they're doing, which is obviously, not allowing other users of a different zip code to use your Netflix account. Like I get it, but Netflix is a streaming service that I use because obviously there's like a lot of shows that I like watching on Netflix, but I've always been trying to find an excuse to stop having a Netflix account because, like, honestly, the only reason why I had Netflix for at least a good chunk of time was because of The Office. But obviously that they got rid of that and now it's on Peacock. So I really don't have a reason to keep my Netflix account aside from just shows popping up, like certain documentaries. But obviously, as I canceled my subscription, I then realized that there was a David Beckham Netflix docuseries that came out. So next episode, we are actually going to be doing a full recap of the entire series. So me and Edward are actually going to watch it. We're just going to straight just watch it and then just recap the entire thing because, like I said, if we were to do it like a week by week thing, I think it's 4 episodes. So obviously, by the time the fourth episode to cover the last episode of that documentary, I would not have had the Netflix account. So we're just doing that. But really excited about that just because like it's David Beckham. It's another player that I think me and Edward both can say is up there as players that we remember from our time growing up. Yeah. And we'll talk more about David Beckham come next episode, but just thought I wanted to bring that up just because, like, when I finally am able to free myself from Netflix. And like I said, like I try to use it, but like there's not really many shows that I like watching that's on Netflix anyways. And then I feel like I've been using Hulu a lot more than I've been on Netflix, mainly because I was rewatching Modern Family. But they also have all the animes that I watch, which once again, Edward can tell you, I always claim myself to be not an anime guy because I like all the mainstream ones. So like Edward probably knows a bunch of animes that I have no idea what he's talking about. But as a matter of fact, I think Edward has like the streaming service for like the anime shows, and I'm sure Edward watches. I'm sure Edward watches sub. So. Are you a sub guy or a dub guy?
Right now, I've been doing dub because, like, I've been busy, so I start watching dub, and then so instead of watching sub, because the thing is, if I'm busy,
you can't really watch it.
I can't really watch it. Yeah.
I'm assuming your Japanese still isn't there yet.
Nope, not there yet. All I know is like Nani?
I don't know
Ohayou
what that is.
gozaimashita. How do you? That's what in Japanese?
I don't watch the sub. Once again, I am not an anime guy. Like, I mean, like I said, that
Clearly,
if someone were to have me list anime shows, like anime shows that I like, I would be giving them My Hero Academia and like Dragon Ball Z and Gundam Wing, which if it wasn't for Toonami, two of those I wouldn't have watched. And then My Hero Academia, I was like, I'll give it a chance. But I strictly watch the dub. I'm not trying to read. So that's just that for me. But yeah, so I finally freed myself from Netflix. At least after this month, I will officially be free from Netflix. Tight grip of me. So at least there's that. But yeah, so also I when you guys listen to this episode, I'm probably gonna be very, very like exhausted and drained because I'm actually gonna be at a concert on Thursday to go see my favorite band growing up, Avenged Sevenfold, which I know it's a dad band. Okay, I get it. I'm old now, but yeah, I'm super excited. I've always wanted, it's always like my favorite band, so I finally was like, I'm gonna go see them. I've seen them before live, but that was usually for like a rock festival, and I've never actually like gone to just a strictly their concert. So that's what I'm more excited about than anything else. So I'm a pretty happy person right now. But I will be very much drained when this episode drops on Friday.
Yeah.
But aside from that, yeah, dad rock. Man, that makes me feel old. I hate that that's a term. I mean, it's a term that we use too. I mean, like my dad was a big Pink Floyd guy, and that was dad rock. Metallica is dad rock. Basically, everything I used to listen to me and Edward listened to in high school is dad rock now. Breaking Benjamin's dad rock. So it's always great. It's great to hear that. But yeah, man. So this episode, there's gonna be two things to talk about. Obviously, the 2030 World Cup. We'll share our thoughts about all that's been presented about that now. And then Zlatan Ibrahimovic, he went ahead and had an interview with the one and only, the person that loves nothing more to do but to jerk off Cristiano Ronaldo, Piers Morgan. So we're gonna.
Damn.
Have you watched all the interviews that he has with Cristiano Ronaldo?
No.
It is just nothing of him just fluffing up Cristiano Ronaldo. Look, we don't claim to be like a child-friendly podcast, and if you're a child and you're listening to this, you're gonna learn some really bad things from me. But but yeah, like, and once again, I don't one. This podcast is explicit, so I can't say anything. When I was a kid, I was buying CDs from like bands that are definitely not for children listening. But so you just don't. But I mean, once again, I'm not here to say that I'm a clear positive role model because I make a lot of bad decisions. But going back to Piers Morgan. Speaking about bad decisions, Piers Morgan. But obviously he's a like a big media personality, specifically in the UK. He has like some very big like iconic TV moments for himself. Obviously, he pissed off a vegan by eating a steak right in front of them. That was interesting. I don't really know how I feel about that one. I don't know what was the point. What was his point to prove on that one? But he did that. So, but obviously he interviewed Cristiano Ronaldo that ended up leading to him getting released by Manchester United. And obviously, one of the interviews that he's had many interviews with Cristiano Ronaldo. He also had that one interview where he showed Cristiano Ronaldo his dad's response to one of his games, and he started crying. So we all saw Cristiano Ronaldo cry, which,
yeah,
if you want to feel uncomfortable, that's definitely going to make you feel uncomfortable. But yeah, so Piers Morgan, he's kind of the interview guy, and so he got an exclusive interview with Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So it was a pretty cool interview. I actually did enjoy it thoroughly. I mean, I make fun of Piers Morgan, but I mean the guy is he's a very talented journalist. So I mean, obviously that's why he has the platform that he has. But he does like I do thoroughly believe that he loves to jerk off Cristiano Ronaldo, because I mean that man. Also, one of the things I don't know if he does this with every soccer. I don't know how many soccer players he's actually interviewed. I know he is interviewed because he's an Arsenal fan. That's what Piers Morgan is a big Arsenal fan, and when one of the interviews that he did with Cristiano Ronaldo, he actually gave him an Arsenal Cristiano Ronaldo jersey, which depending on what kind of fan you are, that could be problematic.
Yeah.
And funny enough, he actually did the same thing with Zlatan. So apparently, this is his send-off tool. is his like way to recruit guys that are clearly not in a position to be playing right now. But he does have there is a funny Zlatan Arsenal story, so I definitely will mention that also in that. But yeah, so we're gonna talk about Zlatan's interview. We're gonna look at the U.S. men's national team roster. This is gonna be the next one. There's some big match. There's 2 big matches that are gonna be coming up in this international break, so we'll definitely it's a little bit more exciting than the last one. Announce our players of the week. Give you some games to look forward to. Obviously, it's international break, so the MLS is definitely going to have some games going on this weekend. And then we're just going to make this the Zlatan episode because we're going to do a 3-up on Zlatan Ibrahimovic. And me and Edward, I don't think we were capable of finding anything that we don't like about Zlatan Ibrahimovic, so I'm just going to say there will be no 3 downs unless everyone wants to throw in throw some shade at Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
No, I'm good.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, you were.
But yeah, so this is kind of in some way also is the Zlatan Ibrahimovic show. So we'll go ahead and well, because weirdly enough, I think this is like the one. Well, I think there's a lot of players that me, Edward, and Spencer will probably all agree upon, like that we love this guy. But I think Zlatan Ibrahimovic, I think is just we just love his personality. I like I love the arrogance. Like I just love it.
The thing is, like, he's arrogant, but he has the skills to back it up, and he has the credibility to back it up.
Yeah, so he's just truly just an awesome guy. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and take a break, and then we'll get going with this episode with our overreactions. Let me tell you guys about BellyUpSports. BellyUpSports is the internet sports bar. Go ahead and check out their website, www.bellyupsports.com, to read some great articles from great writers all across the country, from hockey, baseball, golf, soccer, you name it. BellyUpSports is the premier, not your average website. And we're back. Make sure you guys check out GolzTV, man. GolzTV is I'm not going to say Netflix, the Hulu of soccer content. So it makes sense because GolzTV is green, Hulu's green. It's perfect. It makes more sense. But yeah, so if you guys are trying to find soccer content, maybe YouTube isn't really doing it for you. Well, GolzTV is that platform for you. It gives you a wide variety of soccer content creators. MLS, even MLS club specific, or maybe you're just looking for some overall just soccer content, or maybe you're intrigued by what the American perspective is on the beautiful game. Well, go ahead and check them out. Check out Yanks of the Round Table. There is a person that is a hot take machine over there. He loves loves going against the grain amongst everybody else. He actually recently he just rated Vidic more over Rio Ferdinand. So I don't know if you want to chime in on that one, Edward.
He has his own opinions.
All right.
That's my take on that one.
Everybody's got an opinion.
Everyone has opinions here.
But yeah, so Yanks of the Round Table, Wake Up MLS. So a lot of great original content as well from GolzTV. So go ahead and check them out, Golz.tv. Great website, and it's free. Right now subscriptions are free, so you can go ahead and check out the content and show out love to what they're doing over there at GolzTV. But all right, man, overreactions. What is your overreaction from this past weekend?
I'm not even gonna lie to you, bro. I honestly thought Manchester United, which, as a fan, I shouldn't say it, but I honestly thought they were gonna lose.
They're playing against
And
Brentford, the Brentford Bees.
yeah. Honestly, like even the Brentford, even against Brentford, man, because they somehow they end up
I
they
mean,
have
it
all
was
this
not looking good.
talent,
It
and
was
it's
not
just
looking good.
it wasn't the whole game. I was like, dude, like what is going on? Like that was like what is going on? I was just everybody says, you got to have a little faith. You got to have a little faith.
I
My
mean,
faith died at the 90th minute.
yeah.
That's so I was just like, okay, I guess another one for the books. Let me put it this way. That one young man, and I think we said this about old Gunner, that one young man, and I can't remember who was the exact player that did it for old Gunner. I want to say it was Marcus Rashford. Oh no, Cristiano Ronaldo, I think it was at the time for old Gunner. I was like, that one man saved this dude's job. So right now, I think this one young man
No, I don't think Ronaldo was there for Ole.
for old Gunner. You sure?
No,
Oh, I'm
because
tripping then.
Ronaldo he came in last season. Obviously,
That's right.
then he was released in the middle of the season. So I'm trying to think, who was it then?
I want to say, oh, maybe it was Rashford. Maybe.
I mean, Rashford was finally looking like what everyone hoped Marcus Rashford was going to be. He's looking pretty fraudulent right now.
Yeah, but but the
To
thing is,
be
like,
fair,
basically,
everybody in Manchester United is looking a little fraudulent. But
what I'm trying to say is like it happened before with the previous manager, and now it's happening again where we have this one manager, and apparently, like all his tactics are just not working. But the thing is, I want to say the ball's on this kid, the ball's in this man. Like he's the one that made it happen.
mm-hmm.
Like he made it happen. He made it, McTominay. He made it happen.
Is he
He ended
really
up.
young? I don't think McTominay is young at all.
I'm pretty sure he's younger than I am. All right.
Well, I mean, Edward's going into his young blood. Now he's going to his young blood stage.
Yeah.
Come over here, young blood.
Come
Start
here,
calling
kid.
everybody nephew.
And I'm gonna call everybody kid. Be like, "What's up, kid?"
He's 26 years old.
Yeah, he's okay. Come on, dude. That's 8 years younger than I am.
Okay, you know what? Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, technically, he's young to me too, because I'm also there with you at 31. I'm also past 30. So
there you go. Hey, you're going on 32, my fool.
Yeah, in December. So that's gonna be
Yeah.
great.
So
Me and Edward in a couple of years, we're gonna be hanging out at Fiesta, just drinking coffee at that cafe. I don't know why that's
no
a
idea
thing,
what
but
you're
that's a
talking
thing.
about.
Huh?
I have no idea what you're talking about, bro. I haven't been
Really?
to Fiesta in years, dog. Yeah,
Okay,
I haven't been to
Walmart.
Fiesta in years.
They do it in
They
Walmart
have
too.
They do?
Yeah, the old dudes that always hang out by like the McDonald's and they just sit there and drink coffee.
Oh no, I haven't seen that.
Okay. Well, if you ever go to Fiesta, now the Fiesta that the one that's obviously the one on Hillcroft and Bel Air, there's like two now. There's like the restaurant that's like right there by the fish section, and then which I mean I don't know if I want to eat right by the fish section. And then all the way in the back of the store there's a cafe, so you can get like coffee and like well not desserts but bread.
Oh right. Pan dulce.
Postre, yeah, pan dulce. Sweetbread. But yeah, like so. Okay, I guess you never noticed that, but me, Felix, and David, that's one of the things that we joke about. We're like, yeah, man, when we get old, we're gonna be over there just sitting there. Like, I don't know what they do. But they spend a good chunk of like the day over there. Like, I think
Damn.
they go in the morning and they hang out there till like afternoon, and then they go home. I mean, they're retired. Most of the
Damn.
guys they're retired, so I mean, it's not like they have anything to do. They're just collecting retirement checks at that point. What a dream! What a life!
Yeah. Well,
But
with the
yeah,
current generation, we'll see if
but
we even have enough money to get a retirement check.
we'll see about that. But yeah, so So Manchester United, your overreaction was that you're surprised they won.
I am definitely surprised.
I mean, it literally took like the like in stoppage time for it to happen. So yeah, I think that's warranted.
Yeah.
My overreaction, is dang, this is starting to get like a lot trickier now. But I don't think Manchester City is going to win the Premier League.
What? Is this because Tottenham's ahead?
I mean, Arsenal has the same points as Tottenham. Well, no, it's not that, but I mean, this is the first time in Manchester City that they suffer back-to-back losses because they lost. Obviously, they lost to Arsenal, and then I think the week before they lost to. I forgot who they lost, but they lost twice now. They lost twice back-to-back. But to be fair, man, that Arsenal Manchester City game, that was a pretty good game. That was like, it went down the wire. My adopted son, Gabriel Martinelli, scores the winner. So, proud.
How many adopted sons do you have?
I'm starting to lose track now, but I'm pretty sure Martinelli and Rodrigo and Valverde. I think that's it. I may have adopted CJ Stroud too. I'm not entirely sure about that one.
Jeez.
But we're a big happy family, and that's all that matters. But yeah, but my first no, actually Rodrigo, I think it was my first adopted son. My second adopted son, no, that's probably Valverde. Valverde is probably the OG. Anyways, but yeah, so good game for Arsenal. But yeah, I mean, maybe I'm getting too ahead of myself. I mean, Tottenham's gonna Tottenham at some point, and I mean, Arsenal is like Arsenal.
That's what you're calling now,
huh?
That's what you're calling it now.
I've always said Tottenham's gonna Tottenham. They always end up Tottenham. But I think with Arsenal, obviously, like from what we learned from last season, an injury can really set them back. I mean, which is crazy to think though, because Arsenal beating Manchester City, they did it without Saka. Because Saka, I think he was dealt with an injury. But like that just alone just was even more impressive for Arsenal, was the fact they were able to get this big win off of Manchester City without their best player. But I think that maybe that's a sign for Arsenal though. But I think also like Arsenal, one crucial injury, and that can really change the season. But I mean, the roster seems a lot more deeper for some reason to me. So maybe Arsenal could do it, but and maybe I should be dumb to like count out Manchester City, but I mean, they have not really 2 losses in a row. That's just, to me, like, that just baffles me. I never thought that could happen over for Manchester City, because they're almost like a damn near indestructible team. As I'm saying I'm starting to want to back out of this overreaction, but I'm not. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to just say Manchester City is not winning the Premier League this year.
Dude, so what I'm about to ask you is like, so what happens if, how a team, whenever they're facing a loss, they go back and they come back and they're like hardcore whooping ass, and now that the second loss has happened, especially to Manchester City, what do you think is going to happen to the next team that faces them?
That's true, though. That is a fair point. I hate to be the team that has to face the team that just got embarrassed. So
the champions that got embarrassed, Champions League champions that got embarrassed.
Maybe I'm just feeling a little cocky right now, because obviously Inter Miami did not make the MLS playoffs. So like that jersey bet.
That sounds like a reasonable thing.
What?
Like how you feel like it?
Oh, like right now I'm feeling dangerous.
Yeah, you're feeling dangerous. But what I'm saying is, like, you got to think about it, dude. Like, you got basically an upset Haaland, an upset Phil Foden, an upset Rodri, Who else can I use?
Rodri wasn't on the field that day.
No. En upset también. En upset, Julian Alvarez. And Julian Alvarez, even though he's young and he just comes in as a super sub, like straight up, he just comes in as a super sub. For some reason, every time he comes in, like he scores or he does like he's a playmaker.
No, you're absolutely right. I think that obviously this roster is like way too good for it to fail. Is Calvin Phillips still in the roster?
I believe so, but he's not.
That's just
in the main roster.
That's just disrespectful. But I get it. But yeah, no, you have a point there. Yeah, this team is like way too good, and then also Pep Guardiola once again is Pep Guardiola. But
Pep Guardiola right now is probably making them run laps after laps after laps.
Yeah, I'm gonna stand firm though. I'm gonna stand firm. I'm sure this won't bite me in the ass, in any way or any shape or form. By no means, it should not. Who?
Let me ask you this: who are they playing next?
Who is Manchester City playing next? That's a good question. Let me see.
Please don't let it be.
Let's see. This is great podcasting, by the way.
Well, this was a very not planned out question that I gave you. So yeah.
To be fair, nothing we do is planned. Brighton.
Oh.
Brighton, who is also coming off of what's Brighton been doing? Are they coming off of 2 draws? No, wait. This is confusing because it's also saying that they did not lose back to back. Oh no, because they won against RB Leipzig, but okay, that makes more sense. But yeah, so Brighton, which I mean Brighton still looks pretty good to me. They're frisky. Actually Brighton had a really good game against Liverpool. Now that I think about it. So I mean this is gonna be another big test for Brighton. I mean you drew with Liverpool. Did they beat Manchester United? They did, didn't they?
I believe so.
So yeah, but like Manchester City, obviously this is the Goliath. So I mean we'll see how they do against Brighton. But yeah, fair point though. I would hate to have to face off now an even more pissed off
Manchester
City. So
and a pissed off Pep Guardiola because I'm pretty sure he's gonna go. I'm pretty sure right now the players are probably like, "Oh, it's Brighton. We can beat them. Like we'll have no problem." But I bet you Pep is like, "Don't underestimate because look what happened."
Very true.
And he's probably putting in the work. So he's trying to get into their head.
Yeah, it's funny to me now that I'm thinking about this because obviously, we're talking about Manchester. On one side, you have a fan base that the seat is very much hot in United for Ten Hag. And on the other side, even though like back-to-back losses, yeah, it's not great and all, but I don't think Manchester City is necessarily ever going to be in a situation where maybe a few years down the road when it's like people forget that Manchester City used to be just a non-playable character in the Premier League. But like I feel like you can never say it's a hot seat for Manchester. At least like now. I mean, yeah, there used to be a hot seat for Manchester City when they had like Pellegrini and they had Mancini because like you're spending all this money and you still can't win the Prem, But like now that you're literally the standard of the English Premier League, and it's just kind of like if Pep slips up once, it's like, yeah, that sucked, but I mean, we're probably gonna win next week anyways. So, I mean, freaking last season they were like behind majority of the season, and then in a span of a month, I feel like I might be over exaggerating this part, but like it felt like in a span of the month, next thing you know, they just went ahead and won the Premier League. So I mean, I think right now, Manchester City fans that are kind of like now more like the younger Man City fans, they're just being spoiled right now. I just like they don't know what losing feels like because like I mean those Manchester City fans that were Manchester City fans and they just But you gotta remember, like Manchester United was so dominant from like the 80s. Like that's Sir Alex and dude, it's crazy thing. Sir Alex Ferguson era was like from the 80s all the way to like
what,
early
07,
early
06?
2010s.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude. That is a stretch, man. But yeah, it's interesting thing that happened there. But yeah, so that's overreactions. All right, let's get going with the headlines, man. So FIFA have announced the host of the 2030 FIFA World Cup, and it will be Morocco, Spain, and Portugal as the host nations for the 2030 World Cup. Okay. I know that obviously 2026 is going to be a crazy year because obviously US is hosting it alongside Mexico and Canada. But like this like multiple country hosting thing is starting to kind of get ridiculous because like now everyone's like, well, we got to do this, co-host thing in order to win a bid. And I don't necessarily feel like that's the case. I think that also if you're going to co-host, I feel like you have to geographically make sense.
Yeah.
To do this thing. So like for instance, the North American, I don't even know why we say it's hosted in the US. It's hosted by North America. But the North America, World Cup, like they're all next to each other. Like they all border Mexico, Canada, and US. They all border well, okay, maybe Mexico doesn't border Canada, but you get what I mean. They're all next to each other. So like traveling isn't necessarily a nuisance because you're all you're still like roughly in the same time zone. I'm not gonna say like completely because obviously we know time zones is crazy here in North America, but like it's not gonna be as bad, right? Because like say you play in New York and then you got to go to Toronto, it's not that big of a travel arrangement. You know what I mean? So like I think that like that's a little bit understandable because geographically it makes sense. Spain and Portugal makes complete sense geographically. They're literally next to each other. But Morocco is not. I don't even think it's like at least in the same time zone. Once again, I can't tell you. I don't have a map in front of me, but it feels like it's not. But I'm sure you just have to go across the Mediterranean Sea and you're there. But like, so okay, maybe you can say maybe justify it like, oh, okay, Morocco, and it's like it's just and plus Europe, traveling in Europe is actually a lot easier than it is to travel in the US because everything's next to each other. We're talking about countries that are like significantly closer to each other than a state to another state here in the US. So I mean, I guess that makes sense in some sense, but the reason why I'm mentioning geographically needs to make sense is because FIFA went ahead and announced that the first 3 games of the World Cup will all be played in Uruguay, Argentina, and Paraguay because they want to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the World Cup, which was in 1930, and the host country was Uruguay. If that's the case, why don't you just have Uruguay host the World Cup then? I mean, if that's the case, just make Uruguay, Argentina, and Paraguay be the host countries. That kind of proves my point. They're all next to each other, so geographically it makes sense.
Yeah,
at least that's what I think. But I think also there's like a rotation, with World Cup hosting. I think that's what at least FIFA's doing. So like, for instance, like US can't put in a bid for a World Cup because obviously they have 2026, so they can't try to host 2030 or 2034 because they're already So now a CONCACAF team cannot try to host a tournament for a while. They have to wait till I guess there's a certain period till they can actually apply for a bid again, and which that to me that makes actually zero sense because it's been already 2 World Cup cycles since a South American team host. So honestly, I don't know why FIFA just didn't. If FIFA's logic is that we want to celebrate the 100-year anniversary of the World Cup, why don't you just have it in South America where the World Cup started? Like, push Spain, Morocco, Spain, and Portugal back to 2034, and then just have the 23rd World Cup in Uruguay, Argentina, and Paraguay. Like I don't see it. Maybe there's something. I mean, I think we all definitely see it, because it's not like FIFA is anything that is legitimate in any way, right? I mean, it's not like they're not going to say no to millions and millions of money that's presented to them for a certain bid to happen. It's not like they have any history of that.
Yeah.
But so they pull this BS. Now, Edward, I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat on right now. You ready?
You mean your 10-gallon hat?
No, my tinfoil hat.
Oh, your tinfoil. Okay, I'm over here thinking 10 foot. It's like this. What?
No. Tinfoil. Tinfoil.
Okay. I got you.
All right. So if each confederation has to wait a certain period of time before they can make another bid, and essentially, CONMEBOL would have been CONMEBOL would have been eligible to make a bid for 2034, right?
Right.
Now that they have to host these 3 BS games in the 2030 World Cup, which is now hosted by Morocco, that's Spain and Portugal, which now that's UEFA, right? So UEFA can't make a bid for 2034, right?
Yeah.
Morocco.
Okay.
That's Africa, right? The
right.
CAF or CAF.
Right.
Now an African nation can't make a bid for 2034. Did I lose you?
No.
Okay. And now you're throwing in Uruguay, Argentina, and Paraguay to do these 3 games. So in maybe a loophole, maybe technically close, but maybe not really. But now CONMEBOL can't make a bid for 2034. And obviously, CONCACAF can't make a bid for 2034 because they would have hosted the World Cup in 2026. So they won't be eligible to make a bid till 2038. So that leaves only 2 regions in FIFA, and that is the AFC, which is Asia, and the OFC, which is Oceania. And something tells me FIFA isn't necessarily going to let Australia and New Zealand host another World Cup when they just recently hosted the Women's World Cup. And what other country is known for giving up a lot of money to big stuff? I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not Qatar, but they're definitely we've definitely been talking about this country a lot, especially after a certain big star named Cristiano Ronaldo went over there.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure you gave it up right now.
Yeah. Saudi Arabia has launched their bid for the 2034 FIFA World Cup.
Damn.
Which Saudi Arabia did try to get the 2030 World Cup, which they tried to do it with Egypt and Greece. Honestly, geographically, that probably makes a lot more sense than Morocco, Spain, and Portugal. But I guess kind of. But anyways, I'm going to call it right now. This isn't even like, I don't even think this can't be, it's actually easy to predict this because I think it's written in the sand. Pun not intended. Wow, I really didn't think I was gonna say that. I'm gonna say it is written in the sand. The 2034 World Cup will be in Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia will be the sole host of that tournament. They don't need a co-host. Nobody else can make a bid for them. I mean, maybe Japan. Maybe Japan and South Korea want to do it, make another run at it. But like, no one has the revenue that Saudi Arabia has. And I think right now Saudi Arabia is actually working on starting to build up their stadiums and everything because I'm pretty sure they're very much confident that the 2034 World Cup is going to be theirs.
Yeah. And I mean, right now, I hate to say it, but money's talking right now.
Money does talk. And when we're talking about FIFA, money definitely talks.
Yep. Not even, you ain't lying.
So yeah, I'm just gonna say it right now. The host of the 2034 FIFA World Cup will be Saudi Arabia, and I can't wait. God, I hope to God. I'm not really against Saudi Arabia hosting it by any means. I'm just like, FIFA, you're not slick. Like, you're not slick at all. Like, this is predictable. But I mean, the only thing I'm not looking forward to is, like, I hope they don't say, like, oh, we're gonna have to do the World Cup in the fall again, because I'm assuming that the weather would probably be the same as Qatar. Once again, don't quote me. I don't know, but hopefully they can manage to do the World Cup in the summer, because I don't want to do another fall World Cup. I don't know about you, Edward, but I did not like the fall.
The fall, you didn't like the fall? Yeah,
I did not like the World Cup in the fall. It felt so weird.
It felt off. It felt off.
Like, it felt weird having Thanksgiving and watching the World Cup. Just didn't feel right to me. And then also, like, if we're talking about, like, being considerate of the players, like, that playing in fall was just, I think, was very exhausting for a lot of the guys, and for them to, like, get like a little bit of December off and then they go right back in January, like, that's not ideal situation. Like, at least the summer, you don't have to worry about club play till, like, August or maybe. And I mean, I feel like some of the leagues would be easier to, like, let's just push the matches a little bit towards September or something, just start the season later.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens there, man. But yeah, I'm calling it right now. The 2034 World Cup will be hosted by Saudi Arabia. All right. The tinfoil hat is now. Edward, you have anything else to say about the World Cup?
Not really, to be honest with you. I mean, you kind of covered all the base points.
All right. Though I will say Spain, Portugal, Morocco does sound like a pretty cool World Cup. I kind of don't like the featuring of Uruguay, Argentina, and Paraguay, because, like, I mean, yeah, it's just 3 games, but, like, the travel is gonna suck. For those 6 teams that are gonna have to play those games. Like, all right, one's gonna play in Uruguay, one's gonna play in Argentina, and the other one's gonna play in Paraguay. And what happens if Argentina isn't playing in Argentina?
Yeah, you're right.
And so then they gotta fly all the way to friggin' either Morocco, Spain, or Portugal. Like, yeah, I would hate that, man. And then you only have, like, a few days to, like, get climatized to the time zone, and that's a big time zone change. We're not talking about, like, an hour to going to a different hour time zone. We're talking about, like, almost the whole day. So I'm like, yeah, that doesn't seem ideal to me. So I would feel for those teams that have to play in South America. But yeah, so 23rd World Cup. I'm obviously I'm gonna watch it, but I just think it's gonna be ridiculous. FIFA, you're not slick. You're not slick at all. Also, I'm thinking that the World Cup final is gonna be in Dallas. Just gonna.
You think so?
Well, because apparently the Cronkies, because everyone was talking about having it in SoFi Stadium where the Rams play. Well, the Rams and the Chargers play. But I think the Cronkies, they want more money to use their stadium, which I'm like, you want more money when you're gonna be in the biggest tournament in the world, hosting the biggest game, and you turn it down because you want more money? Man,
right.
Dan Crocky, I mean, Jesus Christ. All right, but I mean, Jerry Jones clearly was like, come on here. Oh, I don't even remember the guy's name. What's the Infantino? I think that's his name. The FIFA president. Jerry Jones is gonna be like, He was actually at a Cowboys game. He invited him to a Cowboys game to come like look at the stadium and try to put his 2 cents. Maybe drink some Johnny Walker Blue. While they're at it, just like trying to get the World Cup here, and which honestly, Edward, I wouldn't be against it. I'll be prepared to take a loan out so we can go watch that final. So
that'd be nice.
Wouldn't be too bad if that were the case. So actually, you want Jerry Jones to go through your thing, buddy. But yeah, so that's the 2034 World Cup. Like I said, you heard it from me. It's gonna be in Saudi Arabia. But all right, let's talk about this Piers Morgan interview. I will tell you, Edward, I feel like we didn't actually have a proper goodbye to Zlatan Ibrahimovic. When he announced his retirement, obviously, because it was like the big wrap up of the leagues and all that. We did say some things obviously about Zlatan Ibrahimovic, but anything you want to say about when you think about the career of Zlatan Ibrahimovic?
Honestly, like he's like I said, like I told you earlier, he's one of those players that yes, he's cocky. The arrogance is way up there, but he can show it on the field and even outside of the field. Like he can show it. Like he's arrogant for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
I mean, truthfully speaking, like he is one of those players that he could be like, oh yes, like I'm humble and stuff. I do this to help out my team. The thing is, sometimes he's done things all on his own to carry the team. And he's not one of those players like, oh, I couldn't do it without my team. No, he's like, oh no, like the team actually needs me. Like I did it without the team. It's fine. Like I was like, okay. At first, the cockiness, but it's like he speaks the truth. It's not that he's like, oh, I'm gonna show you how it's done, and then he doesn't show up. Like he doesn't just not be there, or he's not aggressive, or he stops being aggressive, and then like. No, the dude literally, as soon as he walks in the field, you already see the aggression on his face. Yeah, like when he was younger, he was way more aggressive. Then when he got older and stuff, and it's like he was waiting for the ball to get to him, which it's not a bad deal because he's already old. He's not going to sprint as he used to. But I mean, once he gets the ball, it's hard to take it away from him. He shields the ball so well, and he's big body, but he's also like tall, long limbs, and he's able to dribble. So I mean, it's a pretty rough combo to try to stop him.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think you can honestly say Zlatan Ibrahimovic is arguably the best player to have never won the Champions League. I mean, he pretty much won everywhere he went. Don't look at the MLS. But like everywhere he went, he won. He's won some sort of silverware. He's won in Serie A. He's won, obviously he was with Ajax, but he's won there. I believe he also won with Malmo, if I'm not mistaken. But like PSG, obviously one of the earlier signings of PSG when they finally got that oil money. But yeah, like everywhere that Zlatan has played, he's been able to get some sort of silverware. Even at Manchester United, when things weren't looking so great, he won a trophy there. He won the Europa League. But I think like Zlatan is gonna be one of those guys that like I think maybe the younger generations probably won't remember too much about, except from just like the memes about Zlatan, which there's a lot of Zlatan memes. But I feel like Zlatan memes are more so like Chuck Norris jokes. We just hype up more than what hype up more of just what a enigma of what Zlatan is. But like, I don't know. I really don't know if there's gonna be a lot of younger generations that are gonna be like, yeah, man, Zlatan was him. You know what I mean? Like people are gonna remember, and I think that just goes back to the fact that like this era is forever gonna be remembered by Messi and Ronaldo. Who dominate, like, Zlatan didn't win a Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
And that, once again, it's because also the fact that he was literally under one of the toughest periods if you had to be like another top class player, because you just got you were just not going to be as good as Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi. And so that was just I think that's just kind of the thing. But I mean, there's going to be some people that know what Ibrahimovic it was when he played. I just don't know if it's going to be one of those kind of like what you and me talked about with Sergio Aguero. Like I think there's going to be people that are going to know him and respect his game, but then there's also going to be some people like, do we really know how good he was? Like, because once again, the names that they're going to remember from this time period I think honestly is only going to be Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. And guys, obviously I'm not counting Erling Haaland and Kylian Mbappe. They are now in their own period, their own generation of players. And I mean, good God, there's a lot of good players from that generation. So it's gonna be interesting about who are the ones that get overshadowed by like maybe Mbappe and Haaland. And the jury is still up in the air if those guys are gonna be the next Ronaldo, Messi. Because I'll be honest with you, I just don't think we're gonna have another rivalry like that. But I think Zlatan is one of those players that is just kind of it was just one of those victims from that Ronaldo Messi period, that maybe didn't get the accolades that many people would want him to have to deem him a player of that caliber. And obviously everyone's going to throw up the fact that the man's never won a Champions League, which I don't necessarily think that's not an individual thing. That's just a collective thing.
That is a collective thing, bro. Because I mean, let me put it this way: not even Messi could have pulled that off. Like, with that, the thing is, we got to think about it. Messi pulled it off with Barcelona, but you got to look at who his team was. I mean, you had Iniesta, Xavi in the midfield, Sergio Busquets. You had Dani Alves coming up all the way from the top. That's one thing that we can't say that Zlatan had.
No, yeah, I totally agree about that. Like, I don't think that's something that Zlatan necessarily has control over. I mean, the way the team plays is the way the team plays. But I mean, when people are going to talk about Ronaldo and Messi, they're going to throw up the Champions Leagues. They're going to throw up the World Cup for Messi, Ronaldo's Euro, Messi's Copa America, the countless amount of league titles that these guys have. And then, like I said, I think, and then it's crazy to think because when you're mentioning someone like Ronaldo, who I wouldn't say was a journeyman, but that definitely went and played for different clubs, where Zlatan is also very much a journeyman, and he dominated everywhere he went. Once again, don't look at the MLS. But and then aside from that, like most guys that go to the MLS, they usually are done, right? No, this dude literally left LA Galaxy and then went back to AC Milan and then helped them win another Serie A, brought them back to life, brought AC Milan back to life, and they won the Serie A, and they were back in Champions League. And maybe it's not entirely on Zlatan, because I mean Zlatan at that point was kind of dealing with injuries, and that was kind of the reason why he retired. But but you definitely think that like his mentality was definitely, especially with such a young group of players, that the mentality that Zlatan brought to his knowledge and experience, like that was one of those things that a lot of those younger players they listened to him. Because there's that respect. It's Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So Zlatan is definitely a player that like I said, me, Edward, and Spencer all like love and respect. Like this guy, like we keep saying, who's him? Zlatan's him. Actually, as a matter of fact, I think Zlatan will correct you and say, no, Zlatan is Zlatan. So
he'd be like, are you sure you can say that about Zlatan? And we'd be like,
They're gonna be like, Zlatan, are you him? I am Zlatan. And I was like, whoa.
Right.
What a quote machine from that guy. But yeah, right. So Piers Morgan, obviously he has this exclusive interview with Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and he starts off just being coy with Zlatan. I mean, the man's coy just in general, but the first thing they talk about is just obviously he's retired now. So, what's he doing now that he's not involved with the game anymore? Like, is he interested in coaching, or is he thinking about being like an analyst, or, like a match announcer, anything involving the game? And Zlatan basically said he has no interest of any of that stuff. Like, he's like, once I get, I'm pretty much, and honestly, I'm not really quoting off of him, but the vibe that I got from it was just kind of like, obviously I'm no longer playing the game. I really don't like if it's not playing the game. I want nothing to do with it. Which, I mean, at the end of the day, not everybody has to be an analyst. Like, not every former athlete has to be like some sort of like a match announcer. Not every former player has to be a coach. Like, at the end of the day, like some of these guys could just go on and live regular lives, which might be a little bit tricky if you're Zlatan Ibrahimovic, but
yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think necessarily that like you have to stay you have to stay involved with the game. I mean, great example is Ken Griffey Jr. The dude's a photographer now. Like, talk about a career change. But yeah, like, and as speaking of media, I guess in some sense, actually, Zlatan's very much interested in being in movies. So he's intrigued of going Hollywood. And yeah, they're all making these jokes like he could be a Bond villain and it was funny because Zlatan was pretty much saying, yeah, I would love to be a villain. So okay, so that I mean, are we gonna I mean, I don't know if anybody saw the soccer movie, but that was just cringy. Once again, I don't think we could really be like criticizing a kids movie because kids movies are supposed to be cringy, at least to us. To kids it's like awesome, but like to us it's like, wow, that is corny. But yeah, the Zlatan movie, that was not the Zlatan, the soccer movie or the soccer.
Oh yeah, the soccer quote Zlatan kid movie.
Yeah, that one. That was just it was weird. It was weird. That's all I gotta say.
It was odd.
It's a kids movie. But yeah, so that's what they touched up on that. So kind of continuing on with that whole thing of him like liking being the villain, he said that even though he loved playing home matches and he loved getting support of fans, he actually enjoyed more being booed. Like, this guy loved being the villain.
I was like, he liked being the antagonist. He wasn't. Let's put it this way: like, he wasn't set to play a hero. It was all about being the anti-hero. Like, yeah, he'd be the hero for the whole city. Let's put it this way, but then he'd still be the villain as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think one of the best examples was his last match. Oh well, the match where he announces his retirement. I'm trying to think. Was that in the San Siro? I think it might have been a road game.
You think so?
It might have, because he was getting booed. So maybe there was like Inter Milan fans that decided to go watch an AC. That I don't think that makes it. I don't think that anyone would do that. So it had to be a road game, and so I think he got booed, and then he's like, you guys are booing me, but you're still here. And then like I think he also said get as much out of you want, because after this it's over. But
yeah.
But I think that there's certain players that like feed off of that though, like the people that they use that hate and then just direct it towards whatever they're doing. And I think Zlatan was one of those guys. Like, yeah, boo me all you want. I'm about to score like 6 goals on you, was like his mentality. So I think that just, if anything, that makes more sense to what Zlatan was. But I think it also makes a lot of sense because of Zlatan's upbringing. Because Zlatan's family were, I don't know if they were refugees, but I know they were like former Yugoslavians. I don't know if it's like Baltic, or I don't remember the country, but they obviously they moved from, at that time I believe was Yugoslavia. But they move in and they live in in the ghettos, and obviously because they're different, there was a lot of people that viewed them in there's obviously discrimination is everywhere. So I'm sure Zlatan dealt with a lot of discrimination, and I guess he just at that point now knows how to handle things like that. But he did talk about his upbringing, living in the ghettos of Malmo. And he said like, yeah, he had like a hard life, like that. His mom would hit him, but he says like, it's kind of funny because like he's like, do you wish that wasn't the case? He's like, nah, because it made me.
Yeah.
He's like everything.
He's like Zlatan wouldn't be Zlatan if it didn't happen to Zlatan. And I was like, what?
Yeah, like I mean, I think like there's people that talk about like their upbringings and like yeah they wish things would have gone a certain way, but I think at the like same thing like me and Edward, like I mean I don't think our neighborhood's anything like the neighborhoods of Malmo, but we do live in a, at least most people perceive it to be as a ghetto neighborhood.
Yeah.
Me and Edward maybe have a different perspective because like I mean compared to like the neighborhood, we were definitely in the quieter part. But if that makes any sense, but we were still in the hood. But like I guess it was just normal for us. Like I remember not have I never woke up to like police sirens. Like it never bugged me, and I didn't realize it was a big deal till like my cousins would come visit, and they're like, "Do you just hear sirens every night?" I'm like, I guess I never really thought about it. Like I just slept. Like I mean, I don't know about you ever, but I just never thought too much about it. I guess I was just used to it. But like at the same time, like I mean, our lives weren't like we didn't have like a tough upbringing like Zlatan did. I would say our families are kind of like middle low class. We had a pretty good life. But with Zlatan, they got by. That's what his reality was. Like they weren't necessarily wealthy, but like they were still happy. And like his father was very tough on him, and like he doesn't regret anything like that. He actually keeps saying that like what his dad never realized was his dad that Zlatan was a younger version of his father, and that's why those two always like butted heads with each other because it was egos, butting against each other. He had like this story about his dad that like when Zlatan was finally a pro, he was making good money, so he bought his dad a car, and his dad was just like very angry about it, and he's like, look, I don't care what you do with it. It's your car. It's whatever you want to do. That's up to you. But he's like, but this is a gift for you. I wanted to get you this, so I got you it. And so he's like, I'm not taking it back, but do what you wish with it. And so, and obviously his dad was just continuing, just being like, I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. And I think once again that goes back to like the pride thing, which I can kind of not really fully relate to it, but I can kind of relate to it because like, for instance, my grandpa from my dad's side, like he'll pay the bill. Like wherever we go out to eat, he'll pay the bill. That's always how he's always been. He's been like that with my dad. Even though my dad like invites him out to eat, like he'll pay the bill. And so, and for us, for me and Edward, for us, it's always been like, I invited you. I'll take the tab. I'll pay the bill. But my grandpa was quick, bro. I don't know how that man did it. This dude was just like straight up, just like, I seriously, sometimes like the bill was already paid and I was still sitting on the table waiting for the waiter to show up. And the bill was paid. And I think obviously my grandpa was like, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. And what he did was just go find the waiter and give him the money. And also my grandpa never paid with credit card. He hated banks. So he refused. He didn't believe to have a bank account. So he just had wads of money with him at all times. God, I'm making my grandpa sound like a gangster. But he's not. He owned a pupuseria. But yeah. So I mean, I think that just kind of goes back to like, I'm the man. I take care of you. You don't take care of me, kind of thing. At least that's what my perspective was. But like, so Zlatan obviously gives his dad this car. His dad's very like, I'm not gonna use this car. Like, I don't know why you gave this to me. And then Zlatan was just driving in the neighborhood one day, and he sees his dad driving the car.
Oh yeah.
So it's like one of those like wholesome moments. Then he's like, "Ha, got you, asshole." But yeah. So I mean, obviously his father, like, he says it's like, once again, it's not like he has a bad relationship with his father. Like they both love, obviously, he respects his father and all that. But obviously, just his dad was a prideful man, so he didn't like. But he was also willing to do what he needed to do for his son. So like, Zlatan trying to trying to get into the academy, play professionally, and his dad would give him money to go and do these, go out to go play soccer. And even, and once again, his family were getting by. Like, they weren't, that money could have been used to pay bills and everything, like, or get food. But, he decided to give that money to Zlatan so he can go and play. And so, like, just like, and then Zlatan would be like, no, you need this. He's like, no, I'll figure it out. Which is like the most dad quote I have ever heard in my life, is like, no, I'll figure it out. You don't know what they're gonna do, but they always somehow find a way to figure it out. So I think that's also another thing that, like, why he respects his father. But there was a story that I found very interesting from about also kind of what his dad. Once again, his dad's not going to share anything to him. Like, he's not going to share like anything that he like is disappointed in him by any means, because I think, especially when you think about especially parents from back in the day, most men were like taught to like not to express their feelings and not to talk about their problems. You just keep it all inside, and you still gotta you still gotta work and provide, right? And Zlatan, when he moved to Ajax, instead of putting Ibrahimovic on the back, it actually has Zlatan on the back. And like, Zlatan kind of noticed that it bothered his dad. He never said anything, but he said he could tell the disappointment in him that he wouldn't put Ibrahimovic on the back of the jersey. And like, Zlatan was like, I didn't really think much of it. I didn't think it was like bad or anything. But then like, he started thinking about it, and he's like, you know what? I think it was because like some people were having trouble like pronouncing Ibrahimovic, which is funny now because like now everybody says it. But like, so he figured if he just put Zlatan, it would just be easier for people to read. But then obviously you can tell his dad was frustrated, and then he realized that, you know what, I need to be proudful of my last name, and so that's when he then switched over to having Ibrahimovic on his jersey. And then he was like talking about how you can sense the pride in his father. So I it's like, it's funny because his relationship with his dad, I think, is like pretty much a good summary of a lot of people's relationships with their fathers. Like, I don't think that necessarily like it's all terrible relationships, or like it doesn't always have to be like, yeah, my dad wasn't around, my dad didn't like want to be with his family, my dad left us, kind of thing. Like, you don't have, like, it's not always those stories. Like, there's also stories of like, yeah, my dad was a hard ass and he just had his own way of showing affection, or has his own way of expressing himself. And I mean, to sum it all up though, Zlatan, like, I mean, he still had a relationship with his father. His father was around, his father still provided for him, which is still a pretty cool thing of the upbringing of Zlatan. But yeah. I think it's one of those, like, it's just like, and then once again, all this that goes around Zlatan, everything that happened in his growing up for him, it made him who he is now. Like, and that's why I think when Piers Morgan tried to ask him like if he could change anything from his past, what would he do? And he said, I wouldn't change anything, because if I change one thing, I wouldn't be the person that I am. And it's just like, it's funny too, because I was like, dude, this dude needs to like come out with a book. Because and not necessarily like I mean, maybe his memoirs, but just like, because people need to start like, I honestly think people just need to have an attitude like this mentality of like, everything happened for me for a reason. Like, it's not, at some things just happen for what it is. It's not, there's no other like perplexed reason for anything, but like, it's not about like the obstacles you face, it's how you overcome it. Like, if you you deal with a lot of hard stuff and you still have like this victim type mentality, like it's to me, it's always going to be like those obstacles were for nothing then, at least to me. Obviously, like, everyone has their own opinion and all their own right to it, but like, but I think, yeah, like the obstacles that you've gone through, those are things that can define you, especially when you overcome it and if you learn from it, so you can apply it and make you who you are. Like, I will say, I will never, I don't regret anything that I've done, because it made me who I am. Everything that I went through, is a reason for who I am. Everything that Edward has gone through is a
Yeah.
part of Edward's story of what makes him who he is. You know,
Right.
that's what makes Edward the father that he is. That's what makes Edward, my best friend, my co-host of this show. And it's just like everything we do is who makes us who we are now. So I mean, I think that question that everyone always asks, like, if there's something you can change, I mean, I think Zlatan like just finally said it, but like it's always been something that I hate answering that question too. Um, like it's like the things that you hear from like job interviews, right? Like, oh man, if there was anything that you could fix about yourself, I'm like, I don't think I want to fix myself at all because I am who I am. But obviously you got to give them some BS answer. But
Yeah, right.
but I think what Satan was saying is true. It's just like, no, I wouldn't change anything because that made me me. Like I wouldn't be me if I changed something. And so like I was just like, yeah, this dude just needs to write a book. Or write a book and then put it on Audible so I can listen to it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think he had a very troubled childhood. If you've seen the documentary as well, along with the interview, it's in between all of that happened from that interview or that I'm sorry, the documentary that he had, where I think it stopped at Milan, AC Milan, if I'm not mistaken. If anything, it stopped at Juventus, and then he was still very young. Yeah, that's where he was finding his cockiness, his strength, his awareness, his everything. Basically, that's where he was like, okay, this is who I gotta be. In that documentary, it shows that he was very timid, very shy. He was always looking up to play to the strengths of his dad. Of like, he wanted that approval from his dad. And then now come to this point, now he's like, oh yeah, he's like, I made myself. I'm my own man. Like everything that happened in the past to me is who made me the lion that I am today. Like that's who he is. Like that's what made him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I mean, it's
exactly that.
yeah,
But yeah, he's absolutely right, man. Like I think that's like one of the, if there was anything that people should take from that interview, I think that part of the interview is just like I was like after that I was like, dude, I'm ready to run through a fucking brick wall. Like it really did hype me up, man. Like just because like, and also it's because Zlatan is like that person that just says it, like he just speaks it, whatever's on his mind, he'll say it.
yeah,
And I mean, some people may say that's arrogance, some may say cockiness, but like honestly, some of the best qualities in people is just being honest. Like you need that friend in your group that just is gonna be brutally honest with you. Yeah, I don't think you should quit your job. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you definitely shouldn't wear that. Like you do need those people to just be
yeah,
brutally honest with you. Like that's, and I think that's what Zlatan is. Like and one of the most interesting things that was brought up, obviously, is his relationship with his partner. I kind of, I don't want to say girlfriend because I think that's like disrespectful to what she really is to him. But they are not married. They've been together for
oh,
20
that's right.
years. They've been over 20 years. They have children together. But they never got married. And Piers Morgan did ask him, like, has he thought about, does he ever plan on getting engaged? And he's like, no, because she says that she doesn't need a paper to prove that that they love each other, which I was like, just what a ride or die. I mean, they're probably like common law married. I mean, anyways, if they're 20 plus years, I mean, I don't. Well, I guess I don't know if common law marriage is a thing in Europe. I know in the U.S., like if you live with somebody for some X amount of years, then you're technically married by common law. Don't quote on me on that. I don't know if that's still a thing or not, but I know I know that used to be a thing. I could be wrong on that. Edward, you've heard of that, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so I'm not crazy. But yeah, that's like, which is funny because like this is basically what the relationship of PK and Shakira was supposed to be. Because I think also Shakira is older than PK.
yeah,
I mean, I think Zlatan's wife is like 11 years older than him. Well, not his wife, his partner is like 11 years older than him. So obviously she's more mature than and I think maybe Zlatan needed that too in some sense. But I just thought that was interesting. And then obviously he talked about like, his views of being a parent. And he says, he's like, yeah, I am tough on my kids. Not because I want to be an asshole, but it's the reality. Like the world isn't easy. And so he's like, so he tells him that. And then, Piers Morgan asks like, would you want them to play football? And he told him like, I think one of his kids actually plays for AC Milan's academy. But he told his kids, he was like, yeah, if you're gonna do this, you better put in the work. Like he had, especially when he was living in LA, like he was talking about how he had to deal with traffic, and so he told his kid like, hey man, I could be doing something else right now, but here I am. So he's like, you better make it worth make it worth it. So I thought that was pretty funny because I think that's honestly true, right? Like, you may not be out there on the field with that kid, but you're definitely putting in just as much work as they are because you're going to the practices, you're going to the games, you're just as invested as that kid is in the sport if they choose to play it. And I think it's always funny when everyone seems to ask an athlete that when they have kids, like, are your kids gonna be playing a sport? And it's like, just because your last name is Ibrahimovic doesn't mean that you're going to be automatically a legend in the game.
Right.
And Zlatan even mentions it, like he's like, it's about how hard you work, and honestly, you do need luck. Like you need to be lucky, to get your opportunities. Like he's like, I got lucky. That's why I got the career that I got. It wasn't, nobody knew I was going to be this kind of player. He's like, I lucked out, like, and I think that there's a lot of truth behind that. And you know what? That's also a fair point. Like sometimes the child isn't as good as the parent is. I mean, Clivert's son. I mean, I remember we heard about him for a while, and then now I don't even know where he's playing at now. Gio Reyna is one of the few exceptions to the rule, right? Because I mean, he, actually, I think he's probably better than his dad.
Yeah,
but
he's up there, man.
Yeah, I mean the Beckhams. I mean, only one of them is actually playing.
Yeah,
and he's over at Brentford. So like, which is kind of funny because he could have been playing alongside Messi. But yeah, like I mean, just because your last name is a last name of an icon doesn't mean that you have to necessarily do what that icon did. I think like players like Zlatan who grew up where they grew up in, they're able to have that luxury where your children can actually have the life that you didn't have. All you had to do was just put your body through torturous training sessions and matches in order for them to get that life. But still, I'm sure Zlatan has no complaints about it. And he even says it like, they don't have to be footballers. I mean, they can do something. And so,
yeah.
Parenting 101 from Zlatan could be beneficial depending on how you feel about it. Mind you, again, he's also an asshole. So take that with a grain of salt. But and I mean, obviously the grind of being a pro. They talked about like symbolic things like money versus happiness. Zlatan mentions about like how he had offers from Saudi Arabian teams and teams from China, about going to play there, and Zlatan was like, and Piers Morgan was like, would you have taken it? And he's like, how much money was it? And he was like, a lot of money. Like he's like, it's not Cristiano Ronaldo, money like what he got at Saudi Arabia, but it was a good amount of money. But he was like, I didn't want to go play in those leagues. He took a shot, bro. He took a shot at like all the high quality players that went to Saudi Arabia. Because he basically said, man, big players should leave at the big stage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, obviously, if you have a chance to get a bag, go get the bag. But obviously, Zlatan's a different type of beast. But I think maybe for Zlatan at that, because I think the China offer, I'm assuming, was during like the Chinese Super League where they were signing all these players to go to China. And obviously, we know that the Chinese Super League didn't pan out that well. But with Saudi Arabia, I think now it's just that there's a lot of players that like Alex Tejas. I believe he went to Saudi Arabia. I think so.
I believe he did.
Things weren't panning out where Manchester United. That's where he went, right?
Yeah, Alex Tejas. Yeah, before.
Yeah. So he went to Manchester United. Obviously, that didn't pan out. But yeah, and his value dropped, right?
Yeah.
Well, at least amongst European teams. Well, guess what? The Saudi League was like, "Hey, we'll pay you this amount," and he took it. And like with guys like him, maybe they still have a shot where they could go back to Europe if they're able to improve their value. But but I mean, there's also those guys like Tony Cruz is one of those guys that is very like critical about guys going to the Saudi League. I mean, Zlatan, he has his view about it. Obviously, clearly, if he's saying this stuff, like players that choose money over their legacy, obviously he's taking shots at Cristiano Ronaldo, but
yeah,
but it's just one of those things. I think that it's a fair point. I mean, like me and Edward, I think we've said plenty enough about the Saudi League at this point. Like we get it if you have an opportunity to make all this money, go for it. But at the same time, it's like you're not in a big league. Like you're just not. I guess and Zlatan is like one of those guys that I thoroughly believe he has at least said it at one point. Iron sharpens iron.
Yep.
So that's just him. But yeah. But continuing on with the interview, one of the things that he mentioned. Now, before we talk about this, Edward, I gotta hear this from you. What was your opinion of that one season of Zlatan when he went to Barcelona?
When he went to Barcelona, I mean, he was brought in to be the clinical finisher, basically I guess they needed the one striker, like basically to make the plays, but he was also not. Excuse me. He was also not going to be the guy that was going to be the star. We all knew that. He was basically playing the role of a supporting number 9 to Messi's number 10. Like everything was being built around Messi. And the thing is, Zlatan did play some crucial games, and he couldn't perform. Like that was the thing. He couldn't perform because he wasn't put to that role. He wasn't put to like, hey, we need you to go ahead and do what you do best. Like, no, he was actually kind of like, he was being held back just a bit because they were like trying to focus everything to Messi, like basically everything to Messi. I mean, we saw Pedro come up through the ranks, and he was actually a winger, and he was a really good winger. He was a good supporting role, and that was the thing. He was the good supporting role, and that's exactly what Zlatan was there for. And sadly, it wasn't his role to play. Like he's not meant to be a supporting role. He's supposed to be the cherry picker. He's supposed to make his own. He's supposed to create his own plays. So I feel like he was downgraded a bit in Barcelona. And as much as I love Barcelona, love Pep, but he was downgraded just to make Messi do the plays that he did along Iniesta and Xavi. Because I remember Zlatan would sometimes go to the wing, which was really weird to see, and then he would just pass the ball down the middle, and Messi was there. He would just tap it in. It was there. It was hard for him to get dropped whenever he would get the ball. So he would be basically shielding the ball, and he would just look for open space and pass it. He wasn't playing like his usual number 9. Like he would try the shots from the outside. He saw the goalie off his line. He would try to chip it, stuff like that. Like, no, he was playing a supporting role. So I think it was, let's put it this way, it was a good stint for him in a way, because every team that he was in before that, he was the guy that they were looking to. Like, and then sometimes, let's be honest, there was days that he couldn't play. There was days that he could play. There was days that he would carry the team. There was days that it was hard for him to carry the entire team. But this kind of like, it gave him some breathing room. It gave him breathing room. So that way he wouldn't be the one to be like, okay, Messi can't do it, so we need you to do it. Like, it wasn't always like that. Like everybody would perform at that point, but Messi was sad, like not sadly, but like Messi was the pinpoint of the team at the time. They were trying to play everything through Messi. And even Zlatan, he had his goals, he had his moments. But I mean, I think Zlatan was there when he scored the header, when Messi scored the header against Manchester United. I want to say he was there, or maybe that was David Villa. I can't remember. But all in all, I think Zlatan did need that little push there, like to play in that league, like to play in that team. It was just like, I guess you could say, a humbling experience for him.
Mm-hmm.
As much as he didn't like it, it was just humbling.
Yeah, and I think so in the interview he made sure to make a point that he actually does respect Pep Guardiola. Like he's like not many managers can do what he's done. He mentions that, like, since he's been a manager, like all his teams have finished in the top two. Which, I mean,
Exactly.
I'm not gonna fact check it, but yeah, Pep Guardiola. I mean, there's a reason why we talk about him as one of the greatest managers of all time. I don't know if any people. I think there's still some people that would still put Sir Alex Ferguson over him, but like it's getting pretty close. But yeah, so like he does mention his respect to Pep Guardiola, but he does talk about the relationship that he had with him, which was he obviously said one of the greatest quotes about Pep Guardiola, which was, "The man has no balls." And it's obviously because Zlatan was being frustrated. He was kind of like, you guys brought me into this team because you guys wanted me for my abilities. And so he actually sat down, had a meeting with Pep, and told him, "Hey, you guys need to give me more space so I can do what I need to do." Because he's like, essentially, he was like, "Hey, can you get Messi to back off and give me the space I need so I can play?" Which is one of the things that I think a lot of people would say about when Zlatan was sent to Barcelona was he's not really a fit for Barcelona. And obviously now maybe that's kind of that is a little that's probably that myth's a little bit busted now, because I don't know how, if you feel this way, but I feel like Erling Haaland is like a 2.0 version of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, just a more athletic version of Zlatan. But essentially, I feel like very close to. I would say Haaland's a lot more close to what Zlatan Ibrahimovic is. Which, I mean, they're both just complete nines. Like, but I think what Haaland has that Zlatan never had was he's just a physical beast.
Yeah, I mean, not to say that Zlatan isn't a physical beast, because he is fit. He does what is it, Taekwondo,
Yeah,
Kung Fu, like he does martial arts. He stretches and everything. It's just, physically speaking, he's more denser than Zlatan is. Like, he's built with more muscle than Zlatan. Zlatan has muscle, but it's like lean muscle. So the Haaland, dude. The dude is a cyborg. Like, the dude is just crazy.
Mm-hmm. But like I said, the myth is a little bit busted now, because obviously Haaland, obviously he's doing well in Pep's system, but yeah. So I mean, I guess I don't know what happened there. I guess like Pep, Pep didn't like. I guess I don't know what happened there, but after that, Zlatan was benched, and then he got benched for the next game, and then was benched for a third game, and so now Zlatan's pissed. And I guess like I think Pep, he made a comment about Zlatan driving a Ferrari to the training ground.
Yeah.
God forbid an athlete weren't driving an exotic car. And so I think this is just me trying to throw shade at Pep Guardiola for that one. But obviously Pep has always been that kind of manager where it's like, it's my way or the highway kind of thing. He was putting in the curfews and all that stuff with Barcelona at the time. But yeah, Zlatan would come in, and apparently one of the things that Zlatan didn't really, and this is where he starts like saying that this man has no balls, is Pep would always leave when Zlatan was in the room.
Yep.
I don't know if that's just him. Maybe that's his view of it. But every time Zlatan would would come in to go get breakfast, Pep would just walk up and get up and leave. Or he would have like his assistant coaches talk to Zlatan. But it was never, like Pep never spoke to Zlatan after that. And that kind of pissed off Zlatan. And so obviously after one season, he goes ahead and leaves Barcelona. And I believe that's when he made his move to AC Milan for the first stint. But yeah, so and I think also like once again, Barcelona is just a whole massive beast of its own. Like you're talking about pressure from the board members because you spend all this money on this player. So I'm sure there was also pressure on Pep Guardiola to make sure that you use the guy that you just spent a lot of money on. And then also Spanish media is relentless. Like it just they're super critical, especially when you're talking about Barcelona and Real Madrid. Like there's a like they'll know how many times it takes you to wipe yourself after using the bathroom. Like that's like how intense the Spanish media is. You mess up one time and they're gonna like hover you. Like it is Spanish media is like super annoying. But yeah, so you talked about all those pressures. But obviously, if you're going to talk about one of the greatest coaches in Pep Guardiola, you're going to have to mention the adversary, right?
Yeah. Josep Mourinho.
And of course, everybody knows it. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is a Jose Mourinho guy.
Yep.
He's always been. That's one of the guys that he has the utmost respect for. And the reason why is because Jose Mourinho. Honestly, Jose Mourinho is Zlatan Ibrahimovic if he was a coach. Because, I am Jose Mourinho. Yeah.
I'm the great one. I am the great one.
I am the special one. Yeah. So, like, if you get the confidence and the ego of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, if you put that in a coach, that's Jose Mourinho. So he talks about his relationship. Obviously, the relationship was so good from his time at Inter Milan that when Jose Mourinho went to go manage Manchester United, he got him over there. They did win the Europa League, probably like maybe one of the last trophies that Manchester United won before the Carabao Cup was won last season. But yeah, so like, and I think Jose Mourinho, with him and Jose Mourinho was just that there was both egotistical people, but obviously there was a mutual respect amongst each other. And also Jose Mourinho is one of those guys that like when you're on his shit list, you're never coming out of that. You're never coming off of that list. I can tell you from my time as a Real Madrid fan, if you're on a shit list, you're never seeing the field. Edward could probably tell you that as well from his time from when he went to Manchester United. But but yeah, Pep's always been his guy. He started asking him about like who is like a player that who Zlatan thinks was like the greatest player of all time. And Zlatan was like saying this whole thing about well, if you're thinking about greatest of all time, you gotta say that this guy's a game changer. Like they changed the game, and it's the way that people play like now. Like people use his style of play, and he mentioned R9. R9 to him was the greatest player of all time.
I can't fight with him on that one. I can't.
Yeah, it made me feel cool because obviously you guys know R9 was my guy growing up, so.
Yeah.
So my
Ronaldinho.
Yeah, so kind of like a backstory about me and Edward's beginnings. Edward, and we're both Salvadoran, right? So obviously we root for Brazil. So we and then we grew up watching like the golden year, like one of the best generations of Brazil, like ever, aside from Pelé. But like we watched Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, Adriano, Kaká was
Rivaldo.
pretty young, but I would still throw him in that generation. Cafu, Dida, Luis Alberto,
Yeah. Zé Roberto.
Zero. Jesus Christ, there's like a lot of people. Anyway, it's a lot of fucking names. But you guys get the drift. But obviously, R9 to me was just, and I think what helped me more over that jumped me over with R9 was obviously the 2002 World Cup where he scored both goals in the final. But I think at this point everyone could get an idea of what Edward gets enjoyment from when watching a player, and that's somebody that likes to make players look like fools, and of course
Dribbling.
Ronaldinho.
Ronaldinho.
I don't think
part 10.
I still think that there's not a single player in this world that can dribble like Ronaldinho.
I mean, the thing is, like, Ronaldinho brought that into life. Like,
which, if you're talking about game changers, guys that have changed the game to the point where people are copying their style, Ronaldinho is probably also an argument to be one of the greatest of all time. People don't talk about him because obviously he likes to party. I feel like when he was in Mexico, he had a little beer belly. Not a protruding one, but it was definitely, you could tell.
It was a party belly.
Party belly, there we go. But I mean, hey man, that man's living his life with his 2 wives. So, do you, buddy? But yeah, so like obviously he's talking about R9, El Fenomeno. So, but yeah, kind of pointing back though, Edward obviously became a Barcelona fan because of Ronaldinho, and then I was a Real Madrid fan because of R9. Because he was there, even though he did play for Barcelona, but obviously I didn't watch him when he played for Barcelona. I watched him when he was playing for Real Madrid. But yeah, that's kind of how me and Edward became fans of the teams that we're fans of now. But yeah, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, man, like I mean, kind of and once again, you're talking about a complete striker in R9, and what is Zlatan? He is a complete, like, one of the definitions of a 9. And I mean, obviously, when you think of a 9, it's not just goal scoring ability, but ability to draw defenders in, ability to make those crucial passes in the final 18, like the little details that what a real striker is supposed to do, what a true 9 is supposed to be, is just being that guy up front that's gonna make a goal happen, whether it's by them or by making the assist. And Ronaldo is one of those guys. He creates his own goals. He can also, do tap-ins. Like, people hate tap-ins, but you know what? That's part of the job is doing tap-ins. But yeah, R9, one of the best to ever do it, and I mean it makes sense because Zlatan also one of the best to ever do it. Is to throw into that list, and then of course Piers Morgan can't do this interview without mentioning Manchester United, right? Because obviously they massacred his boy Ronaldo, right? And they shunned him from Manchester United, and so his feelings are hurt because we're talking about his boyfriend Cristiano Ronaldo, and so he asked him what does he think from what is Zlatan's thoughts on Manchester United, and maybe this was something that I never thought about till now, and Edward has mentioned not said exactly this line, but he has said something very close to it. And that is that when Zlatan was in Manchester United, he couldn't help but notice that a lot of people would say Fergie wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that Zlatan was mentioning was just that, like, Manchester United is still hung up on Ferguson.
Oh, yeah.
Respectively so. But he's like, at this point, you have to move on from Ferguson. Ferguson is no longer the manager of Manchester United. One of the greatest managers, I would say right now, is the greatest manager of all time. Pep could probably jump over that at some point. But, I mean, the longevity of his career to stay with one club is also very impressive. But not only that, but just all the success that he was able to bring to Manchester. There's a reason why there's so many Manchester United fans in the U.S. Yeah, and it is because of Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yeah, because I became a fan during the Ferguson times. There's a lot of people that will also became fans during the Alex Ferguson times. Like those that's when you're like, okay, like you got to see the players that those were the shining players. I mean, think about it this way: if if Alex Ferguson didn't bring in Cristiano Ronaldo and make him the number 7, he wouldn't have gone that much light.
Yeah,
Because you
CR7
think about it,
wouldn't have become CR7.
yeah, it would have been maybe a different number. Who knows? Because the thing is, with the way that his number was 28 in Sporting.
Yeah, and that's
So
actually what he was ready to wear.
Yeah,
there was
Ferguson.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Alex Ferguson was like, no. He's like, you're gonna wear number 7. He's like, this is your number.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, okay. He was like, I guess so.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a pretty heavy number to wear. I mean, shit, you got David Beckham, you know.
Cantona.
But Eric Cantona.
Best.
I believe I was about to say George Best. But you know, it's if he didn't make that decision, then who knows? You know, if Cristiano Ronaldo would have been part of the Manchester United at that time, because if he hadn't jumped on that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But going back to it, it's just it's a lot of different things with Zlatan. But I just feel like he's a really good player all around. And of course, when he did announce his retirement, he got emotional. Honestly, I didn't expect him to get as emotional as he did, because you know he always plays that. You know, I'm the great one. I'm the lion. Nobody can beat Zlatan kind of stuff. It's like you nobody can make me cry kind of shit. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like he's always, and he's cocky too. Like I still remember that feud between him and Lukaku. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like during that game.
I think when Zlatan, like when he finally announced his retirement, it was just that moment where like the game's done, right? Like you're no longer Zlatan the player, you're now Zlatan the human, right?
The legend.
Yeah, so
Like you leave a trademark. You
yeah,
leave a
so
trademark behind.
like the saying leave it all out on the field, I think he did that. Like that's
Yeah.
exactly what he did. Like he left it all out. And I think it's also one of those things, I think for everybody, when it's when you have that realization where I'm never gonna be on this field again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never, or like, I mean, it's not necessarily like sports related, like, you know, uh, you know, maybe you're not gonna have you're probably not gonna have tears of sadness, but maybe tears of joy when it's your last day at your job. But at the same time, there's always that moment where like, I'm not gonna clock in here anymore. Like this is the last time I punch out. Like I'm never coming
Yeah.
back. And so like, I think it's like you don't know what's gonna happen until you finally get to that moment. It's like when, like for instance, Big Bang Theory, right? Where it's like you're not gonna realize this is your last I guess session.
Your last reading. Let's put
Your
it that
last
way.
reading, yeah, like it's not gonna hit you till you're there, right? So you start doing the reading, and then bam, it's like everything is hitting you, all the emotions from what, and once again, Zlatan talked about it. He's like, yeah, he was a good player, but he also needed luck. The luck of just someone spotting him and was just like, hey, he's pretty good. How about we bring him over?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there is you got people need to realize, man, sports luck does take a big, maybe not a big chunk of what it is, but you do need luck to make it. You do need luck to win championships. You do need a little luck to win them. And like, you know, there could have been that one person that maybe while Zlatan scored like an amazing goal in the youth level, he was tying his shoe and he didn't see it. And then, you know,
Yeah.
Zlatan would have never happened. You know, it's like little things like that, but luck does come into play. But I think for Zlatan at that moment, like it just hit him, and he showed the emotion about that. But I think all in all, man, this interview was just really good. I think his opinion on the Manchester United situation was really interesting because I do think that like maybe Manchester United does need to move on from the Ferguson era. Like it's like it happened, but we gotta keep moving forward. He did defend the Glazers. And I mean, Edward also kind of mentioned that when he was making his complaints about Manchester United, that he's like, I don't really think it's on the Glazers, and I'm kind of more thinking about that too now. Like I'm like, because when I started really thinking, I'm like, Manchester United are still buying players, right? Like they're still going after like big players, right? So I'm like, I don't know if you can really blame the Glazers if they're clearly investing. Yeah, Lukaku didn't pan out, right?
Yeah.
Alex Telles didn't pan out. But I'm pretty sure Edward, when he thought about, oh, we're getting Lukaku, awesome. Oh, we're getting Pogba, awesome. He's gonna be impactful, and then it didn't happen. And once again, luck does come into this. It's just unfortunate. Like this time, the luck wasn't good luck; it was bad luck. Like those guys just didn't pan out. So I mean, I can't, So I think faulting it all on the then there's probably like other reasons for why people want the Glazers out, but the fact that the club performance, I don't think is on them, because they're still going after the players. They went after Jadon Sancho, they went after Anthony, like they're going after these big guys, and then coaches. I mean, it's not like they got scrubs for coach. I mean, aside from the David Moyes, that was that's not their fault. That if anything, we should hate Sir Alex Ferguson for that one. But like, they went and got Jose Mourinho. They went after Louis van Gaal. They went after Ten Hag. Ten Hag was like a very sought out manager. Like everyone was like, "Oh, let's go get Ten Hag." Like it wasn't just Manchester United that was saying that. There was other teams that were also going after him. So like, I think the complaining about the Glazers, I think that like maybe there's some reason to blame them, but at the end of the day, man, like they're doing their part, which is throwing money in the club.
Providing the money. Yeah, I was about to say providing the money.
Yeah. So I mean, at that point, that's on your football operations staff. Like they're the ones that has to go make sure that they do their due diligence and make sure that this guy is 100% sure. Like, yeah, let's spend 100 million euros on this guy. And I mean, Ten Hag, like some people are gonna say, like, the thing I'm conflict with Ten Hag. Yes, some of the decisions that he's made have been kind of head scratchers. The way Jadon Sancho's being treated, kind of a head scratcher. Anthony, I think the reason why he's not around is for obvious reasons. If not, you can Google what's going on with him. I'm not gonna say that. I'm done talking about those issues now.
Spoiler alert.
It involves assault. But yeah, so like it's all things that like once again the club don't have control of. Like it just happened. But I think with Ten Hag, and I think maybe people should take into consideration, he was a really good coach at Ajax.
He was.
And like Ajax is in the Premier League.
No, it is not.
But like, you're not gonna know if this guy's gonna be good or not unless you go and give him the shot. Like, because let's say if Ten Hag didn't go to Manchester United, let's just say that. Let's just say he goes to Inter Milan, right? I'm just doing a random team, and Inter Milan wins a treble. What's every Manchester United gonna say? Oh man, we should have thrown more money at Ten Hag.
We should have gotten him.
Yeah, and now he's worth more.
Oh yeah.
In that situation, you went after Ten Hag, and yes, he doesn't have Premier League experience, but he's good at developing young players. At least that's what we all thought with Ajax. But like, it's like the same thing with Arsenal. Arsenal got Mikel Arteta, right? Arteta has literally no coaching experience, or at least he's not. He's never been the manager. He's always been known as Pep's assistant. Literally had no experience. And we just threw him out there to be the manager of Arsenal. And like, of course, he's gonna need time. Like, he's not gonna. We don't know what his philosophies are yet. Not everyone's gonna be Zinedine Zidane. Like,
true.
That was luck. Like, we've been mentioning luck a lot in this discussion, but that was luck. And so like with Ten Hag, yeah, he hasn't played with star players. He's only been dealing with young, high potential players. De Ligt wasn't a star yet. I mean, I don't think he's been a star yet. Man, I can't name a single player from that team that's actually a star now. Jesus Christ, that team did not pan out. I don't think a single one of them panned out. Onana. Well, I mean,
Mm,
Delict. Um, Frankie De Jong is the only one I can think of, and I don't think we're ready to call him a star yet. He's
yeah,
good though.
right.
He's the only one that's doing well right now. Donny Van de Beek.
Man, the big man, bro.
Wow, that is crazy. Now that
It's another Jane Sancho situation with him.
Ziyech. Jesus Christ, that Ajax team did not pan out. Wow, that just hurts. But kind of going back to it, Ten Hag has never dealt with a star player. When he went to Manchester United, he had to deal with one of the biggest stars, and I'm starting to believe more and more that dude definitely has an ego. And that's Cristiano Ronaldo. Obviously, that became a shit show. But that's also a big thing that comes with being in a big club. Like when Mikel Arteta went to Arsenal, some people are gonna say Aubameyang, but let's be real, like he's not a star like Messi is or Ronaldo is, but
Yeah.
he's just an ego. But he didn't have stars, like so a lot of the young players were ready to buy in with Mikel Arteta, and which I will say I love that that Zlatan did say that, like, because he was talking about how like Ronaldo was saying that no one respected him in the club, and he's like, you don't ask for respect, you take respect. And I was like,
Yep.
fuck yeah.
that makes you go to work and you're like, I'm gonna fucking take respect. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to work today. I'm gonna take respect.
So like, because I was just like, because because Ronaldo did complain that like none of the young players were respecting him. He felt like Ten Hag didn't respect him, and Sultan was just like, you don't ask for respect. You go and take it. And I was just like, damn, dude, this dude is just pulling out quotes, man. Right, we need a Zlatan book. Like I'm just gonna request that again. We just need a book of Zlatan quotes. Like not even it doesn't have to be a memoir. It's just whatever. Like just have someone write whenever Zlatan says something uplifting and just write that and just make a book of that. I would buy that in a heartbeat. But yeah, I think that like I think. I think he pointed out that like Manchester United maybe is not as flawed as people think. Yes, he's right though. Like Ten Hag, it just needs time, which is kind of ironic because Manchester United isn't one of those teams that would be patient enough for that kind of thing. But once again, you knew what you got yourself into when you got a coach that doesn't have experience in a top 5 league.
Yeah.
But you still had to go get him. Like it's like one of those things that like it's like you can't do it. You can't not do it. But I think I honestly think you just need to give Ten Hag some time. I think this team is going to be good. This team is you spent way too much money for it to not be good. It's not Chelsea bad, but it's definitely I think it's more repairable than Chelsea is. But I like that Zlatan was able to share his perspective of it because like. It's like everything that I kind of thought about, but I just didn't know how to say it correctly without sounding like an idiot. So because I was like, should we really blame the Glazers? But then I was like, I don't know. Like when I said it last episode, like I was like, I'm trying to find a way of saying this without sounding dumb. And but like how Zlatan basically summed it up, I think he was right. And also, I'm glad that he points out that Cristiano Ronaldo is definitely a prima donna when he's like complaining about respect. So I like that part. It's like a Ronnie Dangerfield there. No respect at all.
Damn.
But yeah. But aside from that, it was a great interview. He says that he's really excited about Haaland and Mbappe. He says like at this point Haaland has nothing to prove to anybody. The dude's fucking it. And then Mbappe is a complete player. Like I mean,
damn. Mad respect.
Yeah, that's mad respect right there to those two. But yeah, man, that's Zlatan interview. If you guys get a chance, just go ahead and check it out. It's literally free on YouTube. Just go and search up Piers Morgan and Zlatan. It's a really good interview. Really good. Like I said, Piers Morgan, man, he is so good at doing these interviews. Like I still laugh about Piers Morgan just eating a steak in front of a vegan and the vegan just being so pissed about it. This is just a random thing that happened, but it did. But yeah, great interview. I loved it. I love when, especially because like you finally get a chance to like learn about the player, not so much about you know, when you see, like, honestly, there's some players where I don't even know how the hell they sound when they talk. And like and it's because, you know, you don't see them interview, you just see them playing. Or I mean, and I'm also not that guy that's gonna listen to a bunch of press conferences. Like that's just not me. But so like hearing, and I mean, I've heard Zlatan's voice before because obviously he does a lot of interviews, but like it's just cool, like kind of hearing about what their lives were instead of hearing it from like other people. It's like them talking about it. And I think Piers Morgan that's one of the things that he's really good at, is being able to like just keep, you know, doing those like wholesome interviews and getting into the nitty and gritty. And of course, he had to give Zlatan Arsenal Zlatan Ibrahimovic jersey. Because why not? Also, fun fact, he actually said that the reason why he was actually going to go to Arsenal, but then Arsene Wenger told him that he had to do a trial for him, and he's like, Zlatan does not do trials, and so he never went to Arsenal.
Damn.
Obviously, this is like young Zlatan. I think this was still when he was at Ajax.
Excuse me.
So it was just that to me was just funny. He's like, I don't do trials. You sign me or you don't. To think Arsene Wenger, we could have had Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
The ball's on him.
Yeah, pretty ballsy, I would say, definitely. But yeah, so I think it was a really great interview. Zlatan, I think he was everything and all that I thought he was going to be, and it was just the best thing I have ever got to watch. But yeah, go ahead and check it out. Piers Morgan interview. It's literally on YouTube. Just Piers Morgan interview. Zlatan. It's a whole thing. It's like an hour and a half long, but it flies. I'm telling you that right now. It's a very interesting interview. But yeah. So, Edward, you got anything else to say about Zlatan?
Nope. I mean, he's just, like I said, his cockiness does match up to what you see on the field. So yeah. Yeah. And sadly, we won't be seeing that on the field anymore. But we may actually see him like during those what do you call it? Those charity matches, maybe.
Oh man, I would love for him to like just break speed.
Do another like scissor kick, kung fu kick goal.
Oh man. His bicycle kick against England is still I would say is my number one goal of all time. That outside the box freaking bicycle kick, that it was just unreal. But yeah, Zlatan, what a guy. But all right, we're going to go ahead and take a break, and then we'll get going with our reactions to the U.S. men's national team call-up.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at BellyUpSports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
And we're back. All right. The U.S. men's national team have some big friendlies coming up this weekend. It is the international break. And so here are the players that are being called up for this cycle. I also believe there's also another call-up that's happening as well, which is the team that I think they're going with for the Olympics. So if there are some players that you don't hear on this roster, they're probably on that one, even though I believe that's like a U23, because I think Olympics it's a U23 roster, and then you're allowed to have 3 players that are above the age of 23. So still interested to see how that's going to pan out, because I know there's a lot of players on the U.S. men's national team that would like to compete in the Olympics and also in the Copa America this year, because it's coming up. Both of those are coming up this summer. But we'll see. I mean, obviously it's October right now, so it's not like we have to worry about that just yet. But I'm sure we'll hear more about that as we get there. But yeah, so if you guys don't hear a player on this, they're probably on the other call up. So that makes any sense. But all right, goalkeepers. They're actually going with 2 this time, and it's going to be Ethan Horvath and Matt Turner from Nottingham Forest. Obviously, it's Matt Turner. He's our clear number 1. Though I think now he's kind of dealing with like a goalkeeper battle over at Nottingham, because I think they signed I forgot what country the goalkeeper's from, but they did sign another goalkeeper as well. So I think they're saying that like Matt Turner and him are kind of competing for that starting goalkeeper job, which that's great, because the reason for Matt Turner leaving Arsenal was so he didn't have to be the number 2 goalkeeper. And so thanks, Nottingham. And Ethan Horvath is, well, he's kind of the odd man out right now in Nottingham. But, I mean, both of them, I think, are still the best goalkeepers we have, because Zach Steffen has fallen off, like, really bad, dude. Like, I mean, obviously, he recently talked about his, like, mental health and all that. But, yeah, he hasn't been the same since he went over to Manchester City. And that's unfortunate. But yeah, and then I don't know what's going on with Gaga Slonina. Maybe he's with the with the Olympic call up, so maybe that's what's going on. But don't quote me on that one. But goalkeepers, anything you gotta say about goalkeepers, Edward?
No, sir.
All right. Honestly, goalkeepers and defenders is where Edward probably doesn't really care too much. It's not till we talk about midfielders and forwards. But defenders, man. So we got Cameron Carter-Vickers of Celtic, Sergino Dest of PSV Eindhoven. That's going to take a while for me to say, to get used to saying that. DeJuan Jones from New England Revolution, Christopher Lund from Palermo, Tim Ream from Fulham, Chris Richards from Crystal Palace, Miles Robinson from Atlanta United, and Joe Scally from Borussia Mönchengladbach. I did notice no Anthony Robinson. Maybe he's dealing with some injuries, is what I'm assuming right now over at Fulham. But yeah, he is not on the roster. Anything that you want to throw out there, Edward, about the defenders?
No, not really.
Okay.
You said it yourself already.
All right, midfielders. Maybe this is where we'll probably hear more about Edward. Johnny Cardoso from Internacional. Shout out to him, by the way. They actually made it to the semifinal in the Copa Libertadores. Boca Junior did advance. They're going to be in the final for the Copa Libertadores. So, but what a run for Internacional. But Johnny Cardoso, back with the U.S. men's national team. Luca De La Torre from Celta Vigo. Leonard Maloney from Heidenheim. So that's an interesting name. New name dropped in there. Assuming that U.S. is trying to cap tie him. So we might see him in some of these games just so we can make sure he's officially an American. Weston McKennie from Juventus, Yunus Musa from AC Milan, Gio Reyna from Borussia Dortmund, and unfortunately Malik Tillman will not be in this call-up because he actually got an injury, so he will not be there. I believe Tyler Adams is still dealing with some injury issues, but I don't know who the U.S. decided to bring in besides Malik Tillman. I'll look into that right now. Edward, you got anything to say about the midfielders from this call-up?
Truthfully speaking, not really. I think it's a decent call-up. I think it's a decent call-up for the mids.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate that we're not seeing him for Malik Tillman in this group, because I definitely want to see more of him. But yeah, Alex Zendejas will be filling in for Malik Tillman, more of a forward, but yeah. So, which I'm assuming if that's what if they're bringing in Alex Zendejas, I think they're probably maybe we're gonna look at Malik Tillman as a winger, judging off of that logic. Don't quote me on this. But I'm just assuming. But yeah, Alex Zendejas. So we'll go right into the forward. So we already know Alex Zendejas from America will be in this one, taking Malik Tillman's spot. Brendan Aronson from Union Berlin. Folarin Balogun from Monaco. I do believe he did respond with a goal after that 2-missed penalty game that he had previously. So back to doing his thing. Kevin Paredes from Wolfsburg. Ricardo Pepi from PSV Eindhoven, Christian Pulisic from AC Milan, and Timothy Weah from Juventus.
That's a good forwards right there. So
yeah.
I think we're set. We're set for that one.
So, is there anything that you want to see from Balogun and Pepe this time around? Because I know you said that you weren't really certain if these guys were it.
Yeah. To be fair, I'm still not 100% sure, but I would like for them to prove me wrong.
Yeah, I think
Like
this
for
is
them to just,
a good
it's a
test for
chance for
both of
them
these.
to.
Yeah. No, you're go ahead and finish off.
No, I was gonna say, I was like, if they can prove me wrong, or like I'll see something that I'm just like, okay, this is exactly what they need, or like they've been working on their craft, then I'll be like, okay, this guy or these two guys are gonna be exactly what the U.S. men's national team needs for the next time that they go into a heavy competition. World Cup's coming up, you know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah, I think for Balogun and Pepe, the big test is going to be that you're going up against, I would say, two really good countries. So this is now their real test, man. Like, I mean, no against Uzbekistan and Oman, but I mean, it's Uzbekistan and Oman. So, but who are they facing off? We might as well mention that before we talk about like some of the things that I wanted to point out from this call up. October 14th, they'll be taking on Germany. So definitely big matchup. Obviously Hansi Flick has been removed as coach of the German national team after 3 straight losses, and then as soon as he got fired, Thomas Muller puts in a masterclass to say Germany is still there, which I don't think anybody questioned it. I just don't know what the hell happened with Hansi Flick. But now taking over for Germany is the guy that took over Bayern Munich for him, who then ended up getting fired, and that's Julian Nagelsmann. So,
oh yeah,
what does that mean? I have no idea. But Julian Nagelsmann, I still think is a very promising young coach. So, I think Bayern Munich. There's just a lot of pressure with Bayern Munich. You can't lose. You just can't lose in Bayern Munich. That's just the pressure. But I mean, what he did with RB Leipzig was very impressive. So I'm still confident in Julian Nagelsmann. But yeah, so he's taking over for Germany. So we'll see how Julian Nagelsmann does, because October 14th, that would be his debut as the coach of Germany. So hopefully he fucks up. But we'll see there. And then October 17th, US will be taking on their very budding rival or their budding rival in most World Cups that I feel like I've seen them in, Ghana. So
oh yeah. Hey, but Ghana is one of those teams, man, that they have this. They're scrappy.
they are
And
so scrappy.
Yeah, and then they got that speed too. So it's not like, oh yeah, we can take them. No. They got to watch out.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, that's what, because like Ghana has eliminated the US in World Cups. So that's why I'm not sleeping on them. But that's gonna be some good matches. But obviously, things to take away from this call up, Gio Reyna's back. Gio Reyna obviously was not in the last call up, not for certain reasons, but because he was injured, which has been a really annoying theme of Gio Reyna. Because had he not been dealing with these injuries that he's been dealing with, I would definitely say he would probably be jumping over Christian Pulisic at some point. Don't think that's happening anytime soon. But he does need. I don't know what he has to do, but he just needs to, like, I don't know, get into yoga or something. Because goddamn, how many injuries can this man have? I need him to be healthy, and I'm sure as you, as a Borussia Dortmund fan, you would definitely want Gio Reyna to be healthy.
Yes, exactly.
Like, I don't know what this kid. Do we need to put him in like a chamber until he has to play? Like
the hyperbolic time chamber.
Like, this guy needs to stay healthy. If you know what? If he was healthy, none of this shit would have happened from the World Cup.
Yeah, you're right.
But obviously, also the other reason why it's important to mention this is because obviously, apparently, according to Greg Berhalter, him and Gio Reyna, they squashed the beef. To be fair, the beef was never having to do with Gio Reyna. The beef was more so towards his parents. So I think Gio Reyna was just an unfortunate bystander of this whole debacle. But
Yeah.
once again, this all could have been avoided actually if Gio Reyna would have came into the World Cup not dealing with injuries with Borussia Dortmund. I don't think that's Dortmund's fault. I mean, injuries is just something that happens, but when a player is just constantly getting injuries, I think there's something that the player could do to help themselves, whether it's yoga, maybe he needs a diet. I don't know what he's eating, but there's ways to help at least to make sure that you're not getting injured as much, and maybe that's what Gio Reyna needs to do. But I'm just happy to see Gio Reyna back in it. Hopefully he's playing. Hopefully he's not injured. Because I would love to see him finally playing, whether it's at the wing or in the midfield. Because I mean, honestly, Gio Reyna should be a 10. But I just want to see Reyna back on the field because when he's on the field, man, it is a sight to see.
It's a big difference.
I still remember that Mexico game where he literally almost scored a goal from like one side of the field to the other side, and he just was chopping up Mexico. That's what I knew. That's what I knew. What I was looking forward to for Gio Reyna. So I want to be. I want to get excited again to watch Gio Reyna. So
yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. The second thing was only 2 goalkeepers. I think we don't really pay too much attention about goalkeepers, especially with international call. I can tell you when I play FIFA, obviously there's no real correlation with this in FIFA, or EA Sports FC. Which, by the way, EA, you gotta fix the defending. Like, I don't know how many goals I've given up. Defense doesn't exist in EA Sports FC.
I heard it's real glitchy.
I've scored. There's games where, dude, I've played matches where the score line is like 8-9. The defending is awful. I've been trying to find like the sliders to maybe fine tune it, but I still haven't found it. And now I've kind of thought I figured out the sliders to where it works for me, but now I'm just giving up goals in like stoppage time. Like apparently now everybody's just Scott McTominay.
Damn.
So I'm like, and it's really pissing me off. Like I'm at the verge where I might break my computer screen. So
damn,
it's getting bad. It's getting bad. But anyways, 2 goalkeepers, which I mean, it's interesting, right? Like we bring 3 goalkeepers, but like only one's gonna be available on the bench, and then the other one's just like on the reserves, right? And I was thinking about that. I was like, do you really need to bring 3 goalkeepers? I get it for World Cups and like tournaments, but like for friendlies, I mean, knock on wood, the starting goalkeeper doesn't get injured, but like, yeah, I always thought that was interesting that like people still had like 3 goalkeepers in their call-ups for friendlies when you're only there for 2 matches.
Yeah.
But this time around they're doing 2 goalkeepers. Also, the other thing anything you want to say about the 2 goalkeepers?
No.
Okay. And then the other thing that I found interesting was that there's only 2 MLS players on this call-up. Which is obviously Miles Robinson and DeJuan Jones. Which, look, this isn't me taking a shot at MLS by any means, but obviously, like, I want to make sure our best players are out there. And I will say, Miles Robinson, though, he definitely needs to get back in form from before he tore his ACL. But he is definitely one of the brighter spots of the MLS players. And then DeJuan Jones, obviously, he's just a high potential player, a very promising player that a lot of people view can probably be meaningful for the U.S. as far as depth wise. Though I will say, I don't think DeJuan Jones would have been here if Anthony Robinson was called up. Because let's be fair, the left back spot, that's Anthony Robinson until proven differently.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I thought that was interesting. Edward, obviously we know you're the Euro snob, but like, usually from Greg Berhalter, we do see a good share of like MLS players. Is this surprising for you to see like just 2 MLS players for this call up?
I think I know what he's trying to do. He's just trying to give everybody a fair chance. When I mean everybody's like, he's trying to build up the team. He's still trying to basically what everybody's looking for, like in that number 9. He's still trying to build up. So right, and I hate to say it, but most of the really good strikers are overseas. Same thing for the midfielders. So I think it's like you can't just pick and choose just because you want MLS. At that point, it's like you're gonna be like digamos Guadalajara, that you don't really have a lot of like Chivas, you don't have a lot of players that are overseas. You literally are like trying to play with the Mexican players that you have. The thing is, the talent is overseas right now. The talent, the players that actually do ball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying that we don't have any players here in the MLS that are scrappy, that are ball, they're dogs, but it's like the ones that have the more pace, touch, dribbling, even defending, like they're mostly all overseas, man. So I mean, I could see what he's doing, and I think it is something that he does have to do.
No, yeah, I agree. I think I think all in all, this roster is a definitely solid roster. Obviously, had Anthony Robinson be on this roster, I would say this is perfect. But I think it's still a pretty good roster. And like I said, man, the additions of Leonard Maloney, I'm intrigued to see how he plays. But look, I will tell you, Christopher Lund, dude. When I saw him in the last call up, I was like, I need to see more of this kid because he's good. So I definitely can't wait. I can't wait to see more of Christopher Lund. Hopefully he gets a start, but like, yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun team. This is definitely gonna be. I'm very intrigued because I've never heard of Leonard Maloney before. And he plays for Heidenheim. I remember I called this team Heidenreich. So I'm very intrigued by that. Just another American playing in the Bundesliga. Just like. It's never ending. They just shit out of nowhere. So I'll be intrigued to see, just because I want to see how once again I've never heard of this kid, so I definitely want to see how he looks. Maybe he gets a shot at playing, whether it's coming off the bench or what. But see what is it that Berhalter sees that he wants to bring him in to potentially. I don't know if he's a potential captain. I don't know if he's conflicting with other national teams, but why is he bringing him now? And then that's what I'm really intrigued in. But yeah, I can't wait. October 14th versus Germany, October 17th versus Ghana. Make sure you guys check it out. I believe they're going to be on TNT if you want to listen to the English broadcast. But if you want to actually listen for like good broadcasting, I mean, obviously there's always Unimas and Univision and Telemundo. So
yeah,
there is that. But all right, Players of the Week. Players of the Week is brought to you by In the Clutch. In the Clutch is an amazing apparel company that has partnered with the Players Associations of Major League Soccer, Major League Baseball, the National Basketball Association, the National Football League, and so much more. And you know what? The designs are amazing. I love the designs. They have something for everyone. I am a huge Astros fan. They got destroyed by the Twins. They didn't really get destroyed. They just got beat by the Twins on Sunday. By the time this episode drops, we'll find out whether or not the Astros are going on to the next round. But yeah, I'm an Astros fan. They have made some really cool designs for Astros players, and I really like them. The material of the shirts are amazing. They're so soft. It's so comfortable. I've even fallen asleep, and I'm one of those guys that does not like sleeping with a shirt on. But they're so comfortable. And quoted by Kelsey Coyne of High Low Sports, it has passed the Fat Boy test. If you guys want to know what the Fat Boys test is, it is trying to reach something top shelf, and if your belly sticks out, then it has failed the Fat Boy test. Just if you guys want to know what the Fat Boy test was. But amazing shirts, man, and the best part is that it is going straight to the players. Once again, it is all involved with the player associations of all the leagues that I've mentioned. So if you guys want to go to intheclutch.com and see if they have something for you for the teams that you support in those in Major League Baseball, NBA, NFL, or MLS, go ahead and check them out. InTheClutch.com and use the code InsertName at checkout. It'll save you 10% off your purchase. So go ahead and check out In the Clutch. Use the code InsertName at checkout. All right, Edward, who's your player of the week?
So my player of the week, and I think we've mentioned him right now, and I mentioned him earlier too, is Scott McTominay, who scored the 2 goals in stoppage time in Manchester United's 2-1 win against Brentford.
Yeah, what What a moment for that guy.
Yeah. So his value went up.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
But yeah, also
But who's your but unexpected what?
unexpectedly, but yes.
Yeah. I mean, so who's your player of the week?
My player for back-to-back is Jude Bellingham, or I'm about to start calling him Bellingham, as he scored 2 goals in Real Madrid's 4-0 victory against Osasuna. The kid is electric. He now joins Cristiano Ronaldo as the only player to score 10 goals in their first 10 matches as a Real Madrid player. The kid's special. This kid is fucking electric. I might go get me a Jude Bellingham jersey now. I'm all in. I'm all in on Jude Bellingham. I'm working on the adoption paperwork now as we speak. You know what? It's official. I'm adopting Jude Bellingham. We're just speechless now.
Yeah, I'm just like.
So congratulations to Scott McTominay and my adopted son Jude Bellingham for being our players of the week. Once again, go to InTheClutch.com, use the code InsertName at checkout, and you'll save yourself 10% off your purchase. Thanks again to In The Clutch for being the partner of Players of the Week. All right, there's some games to watch this weekend. If you guys are an NWSL fan, well, this weekend is decision day. We'll find out who's going to the playoffs and who is not making the playoffs. Unfortunately, the Dash will not be making the playoffs. But hey, last game of the season, they had Vanilla Ice having a concert there after the game. So that was pretty cool. I think that was just the most random promotion I've ever saw in my life. It was come see Vanilla Ice after a Dash game. Because I only know 2 songs from Vanilla Ice. One is actually one of his songs, and the other one was a promotional song for the Ninja Turtles movie. And that's all I know from Vanilla Ice. I would have been that asshole. Play Go Ninja. He probably did. I mean, it's a hit, right? But yeah, decision day for the NWSL. Go ahead and check it out. It's going to be electric as they go into their playoffs. In the MLS, because it's international break, and of course the MLS will be having matches still. Nashville SC taking on New England Revolution. Both teams, I believe, are still in contention to try to get a position in the MLS. New England Revolution, if you guys haven't been keeping track of MLS, Bruce Arena has stepped down for New England Revolution because of cancel culture. So we'll see how that pans out. But New England's doing pretty well from what it looks like. But yeah, so that should be a good match. Walker Zimmerman will be there. So, I mean, so Nashville, I'm sure their backline will still be fine. All right, international break, man. So, Friday, we got some big ones, Edward. We got Japan taking on Canada.
That's going to be... I was going to say, that's going to be good. Yeah, but isn't Kubo... I was about to say, isn't Kubo hurt?
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So you're saying Canada has a chance?
Yeah.
Kubo has been so good too. It's unfortunate that he couldn't break through that Real Madrid roster. But all right, Saudi Arabia taking on Nigeria. Yeah,
okay.
I would be. I'm there with you, Ever. England versus Australia. And Martinique versus El Salvador. The reason I'm highlighting this game is because El Salvador has hired their new coach, who is a Spanish. He's from Spain. Looks like he's only been coaching in the lower divisions of Spain, but apparently he's also buddies with Pep Guardiola, and I guess they're hoping that Pep Guardiola has rubbed some knowledge onto. I don't know what's going on, but we'll see. We'll see if El Salvador is going to be better. Everyone's hoping that maybe we're going to see some tiki-taka in El Salvador. I'm just gonna sit back and watch. But look, it can't get worse, right? Martinique, they should be able to beat Martinique. I say that with very little confidence right now. You know, El Salvador has hurt me many times, but I'm ready to get hurt again. So we'll see how that goes. Trinidad and Tobago taking on Guatemala. So you guys already know how I feel about Guatemala. It hurts seeing them get better than El Salvador. Austria taking on Belgium. So we'll see how that game. I'm trying to think of any like young Austrians that are. Oh, Baumgartner. He's pretty good. So Baumgartner versus Belgium. Maybe it's still. Is KDB injured? I don't think I saw him last game.
I think so.
Fuck.
Maybe.
Well, maybe Lukaku. Well, I can tell you Lukaku is definitely not going to be playing for Belgium. At least he shouldn't be. At least he shouldn't be after what he did in the World Cup. The Netherlands taking on France. That's going to be wrapping up the exciting games over on Friday. Saturday, USA versus Germany. Get ready. I'm ready. Maybe. Just check with me after this weekend. Ivory Coast versus Morocco. Mexico versus Ghana. Ukraine versus North Macedonia. Denmark versus Kazakhstan. And Hungary versus Serbia. So I will say Hungary versus Serbia. I think that's actually going to be a really good game to watch. So make sure you guys actually, because there's some good players that are coming out of Hungary and also Serbia. They're starting to, not saying a golden generation of players, but definitely they're bringing out some talent out into the leagues. All right, on Sunday we got Haiti versus Jamaica, Norway versus Spain. I think Spain's going to destroy Norway, but it's going to be fun watching Holland. Watch I have to eat those words.
Yeah, right.
Wales versus Croatia to wrap up Sunday. And then Monday we have Algeria taking on Egypt. That one's going to be really good. Those are like the two really good teams in Africa right now. So I would definitely say that. Senegal versus Cameroon and Belgium taking on Sweden. So those are the matches that we're highlighting for this coming weekend and Monday. It's the international break. You're going to see a lot of big stars team up with some big stars that maybe you always wanted to see them team up with. And luckily they play for the same country. So, go ahead and check that out, man. Obviously, it's not all the games that are going on, but we think this is a good beginner's guide if you're trying to get into this game. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take one more break, and then we'll wrap this up with our 3 up on Zlatan Ibrahimovic. All right, we're back. 3 up, 3 down. Okay, well, no down, but Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Arrow, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You go first.
You know what? Since this is just three, so I'll do my 3, and then you do your 3, and we'll just keep going back until we get to our number ones.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3 for me of Zlatan Ibrahimovic is when LeBron James mailed him a jersey and Zlatan signed it and then sent it back to LeBron.
Okay. Yeah, I think I remember that.
That was just hilarious. Like, all right. So what's your 3?
So my 3 is. So my 3 for Zlatan, it was when he scored that hat trick with LA Galaxy. I think it ended in a tie, but the thing is, he was like that super sub, you know?
Oh, not the hat. You're talking about the
outside the box shot.
Yeah, the tie against LAFC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just fucking awesome.
That was dope.
And then the best part was like after that he what was it? He bought a page out of the newspaper for the LA Times and just said "You're welcome." Signed Zlatan.
Oh yeah.
I was like, dude, what an alpha.
Yep. That was a straight alpha move.
Yeah. All right. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2. Oh man, this is actually no. Number 2, which is one of the biggest influences on me and Edward, especially during the 2006 World Cup, was one of the coolest movements and like promotions that I wish Nike would just bring back, because like since the theme of nostalgia has been a thing recently now, where everyone just wants to keep like attacking us millennials with nostalgia. This would definitely be something that I would not be complaining about, and that was Joga Bonito.
Oh yeah.
That was like the coolest. Like I don't even know what it was about Joga Bonito. There was like nothing like. Yeah, they had like the specific Joga Bonito shirts and all that, but like it was such a cool movement because it was like showing like the street scenes, not only in here in the U.S. but also across the world. And it was also
Yeah.
cool having Eric Cantona being like the guy like talking about it. But one of
Yeah,
the
the narrator.
yeah, and one of the coolest things from some of the Jogo Bonito videos, besides was like Brazil doing their thing and Kaká, juggling and all that shit. I believe at one point he was actually a Nike athlete. Um, but yeah, just all the cool things that Jogo Bonito did. But one of the coolest videos that they commercial, it was actually a commercial, but it was like a long ass video. Was they had like Zlatan and Ronaldo do like a horse game where they each had to do like a trick very similar to each other, like had to like copy moves
Oh, I
to,
remember. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, I
and so
remember that.
yeah, and that obviously that's like a very young Cristiano Ronaldo and also a young Zlatan, but this was like Zlatan playing for Inter Milan at that time. And yeah,
Hmm.
like it was just cool seeing them do all the little tricks, all the free kick shots, one upping each other. So that was like especially one of my first memories of Zlatan Ibrahimovic was because I mean, I knew who Cristiano Ronaldo was, but I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And then obviously I did my research, which when I say research, I literally just looked at the related videos on YouTube, and I was like, oh,
Oh yeah.
it's Zlatan. And that's how I
Zlatan.
discovered Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So number 2. That's my number 2.
Okay. My number 2 is actually um. So, do you remember that scissor kick that was outside the box? I think it was for Sweden.
Oh, against England?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was like magisterial. That was beautiful. That was
Yeah.
amazing.
There's like and Zlatan talks about this on his interview, but like he said like for him that was like his that was his favorite goal. I mean, obviously it was one of the best goals of all time. But like he was also like was talking about how like all he would hear from like the English media is like, "Oh, he's not good enough to play in England. He can't do it. He can't do all that stuff in England." And so when he was talking about the bicycle kick, he was saying about how if you're a good striker, you don't have to see where the goal is. You already know where the goal is. And
Yeah,
like
that's
so he already knew where to position his body to make sure you can get the best out of that bicycle kick. But he was also talking about like the bicycle kick, like the most important thing about a bicycle kick is obviously timing it right so you can get the best of the ball on your foot and just deliver it in the back of the net. But it was just crazy because that was a 40-yard goal. And yeah, to me that's like the number 1 goal of all time.
that is true. Damn. Well, okay, that's badass.
Yeah.
So my number 1 is actually your number 2. Was that
Oh,
the
the Joga.
Zlatan Joga Bonito? Yeah, because like that's when everybody kind of started seeing that trick, that kick where it was like a free kick, and he basically just did like a little lift, and then it went away into it went and it hit the cone on top of the dude's head that was standing in goal. Mind you, I believe this was actually around the 20-yard mark.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why that was pretty fucking intense.
Yeah, that was once again that video was so iconic. And then
Yeah.
my number 1, I will say is probably when he went on Jimmy Kimmel. And obviously this is like after the whole LA Galaxy LAFC thing, but he mentions that how he still goes and shops at IKEA. And like, Jimmy Kimmel's like, but you're Zlatan, you don't have, you got all this money. Why are you gonna go shop at IKEA? And he's like, He's like, oh, I shop at IKEA because I'm smart. I'm not. He's like, you could be rich, and spend money, but he's like, Zlatan is smart. I go to IKEA. So I
That
love
makes sense.
that was funny as hell, especially because like IKEA, I think is like Swedish.
Yeah, it's Swedish. Yeah.
So yeah, so I thought that was a funny story. It's just really cool. It's just the thought of of Zlatan just walking around IKEA.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, he could probably get away in LA with that because no one, obviously no one watches soccer like that. But like,
No, but I mean, he made a big name for himself over there. So
Yeah.
shoot.
if
know.
if I lived in LA and he said that he goes to IKEA, I would just be
And
hanging
you'd be
out
going
at
to IKEA just randomly. You're like, I'm just gonna run in there and run into him one day.
One day he'll be here.
You're right.
I'll just get and I'd be there so much that I just got a job.
Oh my god. Would you like the Schlugers or the Liebertschön?
God,
I don't even know if those are Swedish words.
I have no idea. It sounded Swedish. I'm
I
sure
know, right?
we just offended the entire country of Sweden. But
Oh man,
that's fine.
I just Zlatan, if you hear that, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, if we remember, Sweden wasn't necessarily that nice to him at the beginning.
True, true.
But yeah, Zlatan, what a legend. But
Yeah.
all right. Shout out to the Belly Up Podcast Network, man. Check out their website, BellyUpSports.com. Also follow them on Instagram and X at Belly Up Media and at Belly Up Sports. Just they're doing a lot of great stuff. They're really busy right now, especially because football season and obviously baseball season. Hockey's coming up. That's also a bread and butter of Belly Up Sports. It's like soccer. It's just on ice. So if you guys want to...
And you play with sticks.
And you play with sticks. And you get to hit people.
Yeah, true.
So it's like the Mighty Ducks. If you guys like the Mighty Ducks, you might like hockey.
Yeah.
But yeah, so go ahead and check them out. Also, shout out to GolzTV, man. If you guys are watching us through GolzTV, man, it's awesome, man. This is an amazing. And if you guys don't know GolzTV, it is the Hulu of soccer content. Lots of great content creators that come in and drop off their content in here. So you have this one-stop shop of all things soccer here in the U.S. So make sure you guys go ahead and check out Golz.tv. Subscription is completely free. Just go ahead, create an account, and then voila, you have so much soccer content that you won't even know what to do. So go ahead and check it out. You can catch us there. So we love what the vision that GolzTV is doing, man. So go ahead and check them out and follow them on Instagram at Golz.tv. That's GOLZ.tv. And on the X at Golz_TV. So GOLZ_TV. Golz_TV. Make sure you guys go ahead and check them out, man. Show them some love. And of course, man, speaking of showing some love, man, Roosevelt Spencer, man, this guy does so much for us. He is the MVP of InsertName FC that we named our MVP award the Roosevelt Spencer's Player of the Year award. So if you guys want to show some more love to Roosevelt Spencer, if you guys love the intros and outros and all the music that comes with InsertName FC, well, give the man a follow on Instagram at That Guy Dope. Once again, That Guy Dope, just how it sounds. And you know what? If you guys need some beats, well, send Spencer a message and he'll take great care of you, like he always takes great care of us, man. So thank you so much, Spencer, man. You are my MVP. Just always know that. So thank you.
He's our MVP.
He's our MVP. He's Robo's MVP. He's your MVP as well, your listeners. So, all right. So thank you so much for listening to episode 147. Next week, we're going to recap the Netflix documentary of David Beckham. I'm really looking forward to it. I just want to see the part where Beckham gives Victoria Beckham shit for saying she was working class. So that's all I want to see. That's like literally the only thing I want to see from that documentary. It's been popping up everywhere on social media, and I think it's hilarious. So I was like, I just want to see that part just because they don't show her face after that was said. So I just want to see what her face is after he calls her out for saying that she's working class. I thought that was kind of funny. But all right, so episode 140. Thanks for listening to episode 147. Catch us next week when we go ahead and recap episode 148 I mean, not episode 1. When we recap the David Beckham Netflix documentary. Also we'll be recapping the U.S. men's national team's international friendlies as well, and I'm sure lots and lots more soccer content coming your way. So, thank you so much. Catch us next week for episode 148.
Take care, guys.
Who is that guy?